The Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, July 26th, 2018 is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blanova is running late. She'll be here. Commissioner Creech?
Present.
Commissioner Dorbian?
I'm here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Kalis?
Here.
Commissioner Powers is here, and Chairman Rafato.
Thank you. Brooke, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Citizen concerns and comments. Mr. Secretary.
Oh, I'm sorry. Citizens' concerns and comments. Members of the public may address the Plan Commission with comments regarding only those issues that are relevant to the Plan Commission's agenda or topics that the Plan Commission has the authority pursuant to the Village Code to address. The chairperson or his or her designee shall strictly restrain comments to matters that are relevant to the Plan Commission business and shall not permit repetitious comments or arguments. Members of the general public who wish to address the Plan Commission must sign the request to speak prior to the commencement of the public meeting. The person submitting a petition, concern, or other comment shall be allowed 5 minutes to present their points. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Calling first Bill Hine. And please remember, Mr. Hine, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Bill Hine, 200 Deborah Lane, Wheeling, Illinois. I just wanted to discuss one item here this evening relative to the JV Global petition for a text amendment. In going over all the documentation as presented by the group that did the presentation and the staff reports and comments, I really believe that the issue of trying to establish a new directory to a transportation need as being a center. Nowhere do I see where it qualifies as a center, and with the type of site plan that they presented in the buildings and so on and so forth, I could not get any coordination to it as being a center for what? To me, it's almost like having a commercial parking lot and having a designation where they can bring their vehicles in at any given time, even saying that they would accept a phone call from a trucker coming in late in the evening and it was closed, and that they would give them a code to get in. It doesn't make sense to try to change the definition that the industry accepts as being a truck terminal and not putting in any designation whatsoever a transportation center. So I think it's a very important thing to discuss at this level and of course at the trustee and president level of the board. But in the comprehensive plan that went through, they never mentioned the words transportation center. In every documentation that I've seen relative to anything to do with transportation, active transportation plan that we just passed with the bicycles and walking and so on and so forth, and some of you people did belong to that committee, never mentions a transportation center. Transportation centers are more or less always left to being a place to go to catch a bus, a train, or whatever. Mind you that we have a very important commodity across the street, and that is the Executive Airport, with millions of dollars being invested by all facets of government, but most importantly, being invested by the local communities as to a entity that we must protect. We have people coming from all over the world into Wheeling, Illinois to visit and to continue on with their destination. And it's so important that the FAA put in a customs bureau here and everything else. That's what we have to be looking at. This is not highest and best use for this property, taking it from an I3, I1 buffer type zoning to an I3 general heavy industrial zoning. It doesn't belong there. It belongs on Chaddock Drive with the rest of the other truck terminals. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Phil Taplin? Mr. Taplin? And Mr. Taplin, again, you have 5 minutes. Thank you, sir.
I'm Phil Taplin, 95 Fox Lane, Wheeling.
If you could move that microphone up a little bit so we can hear you.
Okay, is that
Thank
better?
you. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
I think this idea of putting a trucking center next to a residential area is not a good idea, not only for the pollution factors of it, but the traffic that's going to be brought in by this is going to be unbelievable. We've already got a problem with the traffic on Wolf Road in the afternoons, where it runs down to 2 lanes. It backs up all the way up past Wolf Run Estates. And if you bring in another 119 trucks, that's just going to add to it. You know, at some point in the past, when JV Global put up their building on 150 Abbott, they did a traffic study over there. And apparently they said they were going to have 7 to 19 trucks through there in a day. Well, actually their little travel study, I think, screwed up, or they didn't screw up. It actually came out with like 119 trucks a day. So if they're figuring on putting 179 trucks, I'm sorry. If they do the same thing over here and figure they're going to be 119 trucks, well, they're just trying to fool you, I think. There's probably going to be at least 3 times that coming in here. The semi can unload at least twice a day if they're going local. So 119 trucks parked there, not including running, unloading, and coming back again. It's just going to make Wolf Road a nightmare, and I don't think it's the right place for it. I think Chaddock is a better place, or down off of Willow Road. You know, it's one thing to change the zoning from I-1 to light industrial and to, you know, residential and light industrial and keep that area. That's fine, you know, and I know everybody wants Wolf Run Estates out of there. You know, that's a given. But I think to put a large industrial trucking firm in there is just going to end up being a boil on Wheeling's rear end. And I think if you go ahead and okay this thing somewhere down the road, it's going to turn around and bite you. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, sir. Thomas Gloger? Well, sir, again, you have 5 minutes to speak. Thank you.
My name is Thomas Gloger. I live at 104 Lynn Lane in Wheeling, in Wolf Run Estates. And my concerns are about putting essentially heavy motor vehicle parking across the street from residential parking. I know they want to get a special use so they can call it a transportation center. But if it looks, sounds, acts, and smells like heavy motor vehicle parking, you might as well call it that. And even adding amenities like an office building has little effect on the proposed facility as a neighbor. JV Global said that all truck maintenance would be done inside the maintenance mechanical shop building. If they and their tenants can keep that promise and keep the doors closed summer and winter, maybe that will muffle the sounds of impact wrenches and other tools. Otherwise, the maintenance bay would be acting like a band shell, projecting the sounds to echo around the neighborhood. JV Global said trucks would not be idling there. Sounds good on the face of it, but those trucks will have to be started again. I don't know if you have ever heard the sound of a diesel truck being air-started at 4 a.m. We have, and our neighbors have, and they live on the other side of the block. We live next to a truck depot that was approved by a previous administration prior to 1975. Some of the other sounds that they won't be able to keep in the building: semi-tractors connecting and disconnecting from their trailers, air brakes, shouting, revving of diesel engines to get a heavy truck underway. It's going to carry a whole lot farther than the 250 feet that is deemed a reasonable distance for one area to have an impact on another. Are there regulations on the books that will limit what kind of noise may happen at what time of the day? We have construction at the former truck depot at 1075 Chaddock. The earliest they're allowed to start is 7 a.m. I don't know if there are similar laws for other noisy activities. My wife wanted to know if the tax revenue generated by I-3 special use is comparable to that of I-1 for office space and light assembly. That's basically a summary of my concerns.
Thank you. Mary Ann Liguori. Good evening, and remember you have 5 minutes.
Yes. Hi, good evening. Thank you for hearing me again. I just wanted to sum up a couple things. Mr. Taplin had mentioned their original application for 150 Abbott Drive that you approved. I think they misled you. I think it was 7 to 13 trucks a day, and they did a traffic study on their own property, which can be manipulated. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I don't know what happened to Wednesday. I'm guessing it was over 200 that day. But this was, a date was 8 hours. It was not the 24 hours that they're planning on running this. So it was, again, 179 at the max for the days that, and they can manipulate that was on their own property. There are obvious concerns, and I mentioned quite a bit. Safety concerns, there's no lights. The heavy vehicles, the safety with that in and of itself. Exhausted drivers. The unvetted personnel. Many of our corporations here in Wheeling are uniformed companies with FedEx. Many of the companies, you know, it doesn't, you can get your CDL and still have a criminal record. There's not a lot of jobs that you can get at some point when you have background checks. To be a sex predator or ex-con or whatever it is, there's limited jobs. So I don't know the stats on that. I'm just assuming. These are unvetted drivers. They will have no control of this. They are basically want to pave it, lease it out to whoever. There's no control in the operations. There's no control in any of that. The pollution concerns, not just for the immediate residents, Wheeling in and of itself, it's a toxic environment. In the summer, the issues with the heat, it creates the ozone the ozone is terrible. contributes to acid rain. In the winter, the sulfur, it's heavy particulate matter, lingers in the air. The visual concerns, it's just going to be a blight. And like Mr. Hine had said, I mean, you don't want the village of Wheeling being viewed as a trucking town, and anybody who comes from the south, whether or not they're going to go to our stores or the new town center, they're going to choose to not do that. It will impact economics greatly, extremely. The health concerns, the environmental impact, the health concerns, I had already spoken about. Any approval in any way, shape, or form means that you understand that there are severe health concerns that all the regulatory agencies have stated it's going to be killing my kids faster than they need to die, and my neighbors, and that's not okay. They had recently gone around the neighborhood trying to make offers and consume the properties. So my prediction is if you let this go through, this will then be 3 times a nightmare, and it'll be out of your control. It'll be about 3 times a nightmare, because who else is going to buy these properties? It's so much to say, and I can't live by this. I can't have this as part of my life. I enjoy my property. I won't be able to look up at the stars, the lights alone with this. My kids will not be able to survive there. I will have no choice but to abandon this property that I've had for over 20 years. Thank you for listening to all of us this evening. Thank you. 4 hours last time, huge. You're all volunteers. Kudos to you. That's huge that you continued this meeting, and there's no stipend here. This is you trying to do well for the community. Think about the impact of the community as a whole, but don't do this to your residents who live here and support. Thank you.
Terry Stylen. Mr. Stylen, you have 5 minutes.
Per topic, or? Terry Stylen, 473.
Mr. Gorey said we had 4 hours the last time. We're not going to.
Can I reclaim my 10 seconds?
Yes, you can.
Terry Stylen, 473 Briarwood Drive, Wheeling, Illinois. The truck parking lot, is going to be I-3, and I really have a major problem. I think it's a standard practice that you normally separate I-3 uses by some kind of buffer from residential type uses. Normally an I-1, a business, even an R4 multifamily normally separates as a standard practice heavy industrial from residential. I wish you would all consider that. Last time, I think the way I read the board, you were thinking that maybe the zoning wasn't appropriate. And if you don't think it's appropriate, I think you ought to take a poll first to discuss that, because if you don't approve or don't want to approve the zoning, there's absolutely no use at all going into a long-term discussion about the text amendment and the special use. You might as well just get it over with, send it to the board. If they want to send it back to you, let that be the case. My next topic is about the gaming cafes that are on the agenda tonight. And I know you can't talk about slot machines. I know they're regulated by the state of Illinois, and they're the only ones that control anything or do anything. But you do have control over signs. And I know that you're planning on building a 10-foot wagon wheel out of stainless steel that's going to be on every street entrance on the entrance to the village. And rather than build a 10-foot wagon wheel, I would really suggest that maybe you build a 10-foot slot machine, put it there, and let everybody know that this is the place to have slot machines in your town. So thank you. I appreciate the time.
Steve Neff. Mr. Neff. Of course, you have 5 minutes, sir. And could you give your address?
Sure. Thank you. Steve Neff, 193 South Wolf Road, Wheeling. Good evening, everybody. Commenting on the trucking thing. Just want to make sure that I always want to remind the village that all decisions should be in the context of the village's mission statement, which reads, to provide public services that support the evolving needs of and improve the overall safety, health, and welfare of our residents and businesses. And I would certainly hope that the residents have equal footing to the businesses. I travel Wolf Road on a daily basis. You know, I think it's fair to say it's a pretty heavily traveled conduit through the village. I have friends that live in Mount Prospect. I have a good friend that drops his son off, Junior, at Holmes Junior High. He lives on Camp McDonald. We know that there's a busing depot on Hintz. There's a lot of parents that are bringing their parents up and down Wolf Road back and forth to school. And we know that a lot of trucks are going to cause a lot of congestion. You know, I'm in the trades and I go to some of the stores that are back off of Mesner, ABC Roofing Supply, Chris Industries. I mean, these are pretty good business, solid businesses in the village that are producing tons of sales taxes. I mean, you got Cab Plumbing back there. They've got delivery trucks going in and out. And I mean, these big trucks are going to start to affect their businesses because everybody's going to be sitting at traffic signals a couple extra times trying to get through the light, whether it's at Hintz or Palatine Road. So, you know, you got, unfortunately, there's that bottleneck at Mesner where the runway comes in. So there's always, you know, that squeeze point. I'd like to say that I don't think this is a good fit for our village. I mean, you've got this whole area. I think you're going to be a little short-sighted if it doesn't come out to its full potential. I mean, look at Northbrook and what they did with Sky Harbor Airport. It's a beautiful industrial park. Their tax base is one of the lowest suburbs around. I would think that, you know, even Buffalo Grove, they don't have truck terminals, you know, affecting the businesses and, you know, the residents around. Counting down here, the last time I spoke here, I don't know if you remember, but, you know, you guys were talking about putting a cell tower in the ball field of Holmes Middle School, and that was really a bad fit. And thankfully you said no to that, and I'm hoping that you'll say no to this type of industry in the village of Wheeling and hold out for a better fit. Thanks.
Thank you. Deborah Wilson. And Ms. Wilson, you have 5 minutes.
All of you already got an email I sent every board commissioner this evening. Earlier this week, I sent you this graph in an attachment of an email. This was published by the Village of Northbrook's finance director. This is their 2008 graph comparing Northbrook's property taxes to 26 surrounding villages. You see the arrow in the middle has a big arrow where Wheeling ranked amongst 26 adjacent and nearby villages. We were right in the middle at average. The line across the center represents the average. We were right in the middle, right next to Buffalo Grove. That was our property taxes. We enjoyed an average rate of property tax at that time. In that same email, I sent you an update of the 2015 property taxes. You have seen that between 2008 and 2015, you see where the arrow is? We have moved entirely to the right. And in 2015, there were only 2 of the 26 villages were paying higher property taxes than this. As of the most recent publication, we have moved up even one further to the right in 2016. We're the second highest property tax rate of 26 adjacent and surrounding villages. And I believe that is in part because officials in this village are ignoring this advice of our highly trained staff. I vetted out Mr. Malanafi. I did FOIA requests to surrounding villages all around, and they have paid thousands of dollars for this man in the last 15 years to get his analysis of their real estate and markets. This guy knows what he's doing. So we've got the best of the best to advise you. And he told you that between his department and the Ehlers consultant, they felt that a manufacturer would be a higher revenue generating use for this property. That was a vision of the comprehensive plan, and I know you acknowledged that last time. I'm not saying that you are moving against that. Actually, I'm grateful that you hit the pause button at the last public hearing to talk to staff further. But when you ignore, if you are feeling any pressure from some of the elected officials to ignore staff advice, I would just really urge you to remember the emails that I sent you containing these attachments. Anybody in the viewing audience can FOIA those emails and get those attachments, or you can go to my YouTube page where I did a video on it, wheeling.deborah.wilson. Another attachment in there I gave you was an attachment of the mortgage that this petitioner, his business partner Jerome Starr, gave our former mayor a $65,000 loan.
Ms. Wilson, it's not relevant to
It is
this
absolutely relevant.
It is not, and I will
This
cut you
guy
off.
has got us by the short hairs on the back of our necks because it's the
Ms.
same
Wilson.
village board and trustees.
Ms.
Wilson, this is
That
not relevant
voted
to the
to
planning
approve all of
commission
his
issues.
credit card
Ms.
expenditures
Wilson,
that gave him free
Ms.
use of
Wilson,
publicly
we have
owned
public
vehicles.
comment rules.
Are you the chairman? Are you the
He
chairman?
And I'm asking you to stop.
It's inappropriate. He
It
can get
is
whatever
not.
we want. The next thing
It
I
is
have that's a
not.
disagreement with the petitioner is he ignores the process, the will of the people in the election. In the election, when he first came to this board, he was very
Ms.
humble.
Wilson,
He was
the election
appropriate
is not
board.
before the Plan
I am
Commission. That is
in the
not
newspaper,
relevant to this
At the bottom of
proceeding.
the Daily
Relevant
Herald
to
in the
this
comments,
conversation.
he
And I'm
threatened
going to
Bill
keep
Spangenberg and
talking.
said, oh, we don't
It is
need more
not
farmers in this
relevant to
town.
this
We need,
conversation. It's not
come over to my
relevant
house. He
this
gave his address. That
petition.
sounded like a threat to me. It sounded like a threat. And at the last village board meeting, the last 5 minutes of the meeting, he came in and
Ms.
sat
Wilson?
right in front of me at the very
Ms.
end after I
Wilson?
had spoken against this.
Ms. Wilson, enough. We're not going to listen to this anymore. It is not relevant to this petition. What you spoke about before was fine. This is not relevant.
I
We are
advise you
not
to
relevant.
listen to our highly trained staff so that our property taxes can go back down to what they were in 2008 when our board used to listen to their advice. The entire purpose of a managerial form of government is to separate political influences. Ken Brady's daughter happens to work for this guy, Jerome Starr, at Argyros Plastics. That might be influencing his position.
Ms. Wilson?
Do the right thing, or I'll be holding you accountable.
Sounds like a threat.
That, I believe, was the last public citizen concerns and comments. We'll go consent items. Docket number SCBA 18-28, Willow Glen Manor. I'm sorry, but it wasn't on this list. I'm sorry. We need to move forward.
Excuse me, I was told that you weren't going to let any of the public people speak tonight, so I didn't sign up on the list. I was still.
There was a citizen concerns and comments. We were talking specifically about JV Global when, and the public, the citizen concerns and comments are for any item, and you have 5 minutes that there was not a public, we're not going to have a public discussion.
I understand, but you just listened to.
Well, because they had signed up for it. That's why I'm listing these things here. They had signed up for these things.
Sign up and listen to you tell a gentleman
So-
that he couldn't sign up for it. I mean, I'm just saying.
I was the sign up, there were a number of sign up sheets. If you look there were no sign up sheets for JV Global. This is citizen concerns and comments.
Do you want a clarification on?
Yes, please.
So at public hearings, there's a time for public comment and testimony, which for the JV Global petition was previously done at the prior hearing. Citizens' concerns and comments is a section where any member of the public can speak to the Plan Commission about any item on the agenda or any item that is relevant to Plan Commission business. And our rules that have been adopted require sign-in prior to the start of the meeting. The clarification that Mr. Rafato was pointing out was that we're not going to be reopening the hearing for additional public comment other than for limited purposes.
Hold on one second. I have the discretion to add I have the discretion to add somebody to the citizen concerns
You
and
have the
comments.
discretion to allow additional people to
I
speak
will.
at public comment if based
Right.
on if there was a confusion for this.
There was. So, Miss, I will let you speak, and I will let you speak, and that is it. Please come forward. And if you could give your name and,
Tina Jordan, 1022 Carroll Avenue, Wheeling.
thank you, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, so we own 3.5 acres and we're currently under contract with JV Global. We had bought that property in '87, and we bought that property specifically because it was unincorporated. It was a nice, quiet area. Nobody was going to bother us. We had a small contracting business, and that's, that was great. We were there, it was fine. And then the village bought out a bunch of houses in front of us, extended the airport runway, moved Wolf Road right in front of us, and they did that to everybody. And there was no consideration for the extra traffic that was running closer to our houses, or the extra exhaust that we were going to get, or the extra fumes from the planes, or anything like that. It just happened, and we had no say in it, and that's just how it kind of goes. Just like being annexed into the village. We were against being annexed into the village. And when you guys annexed us into the village, in 1 year, our property taxes almost doubled. It's ridiculous. Now we're told, and we were told when we were forced into annexation, that all small businesses, that nobody would bother you. Well, now they're bothering us. We can't have our small business there. Our property taxes are now almost $30,000, and we can't keep our business there. So we closed it down. What are we supposed to do? You guys want it. You want a business there. We've had our property up for sale for 2 years. 2 years. You know how many offers we've had? One. And it's from these people who want to build something in your village. They want to create a new business, a new logistics type of business that's going to take some of the traffic off of your industrial areas. That's going to make it less congested in your industrial areas. And the same trucks that are going to be driving down the road drive down the road right now. They drive down back and forth every day. And they sit and idle on your roads every day, waiting to get in and out of people's loading docks because it's so congested, and these are people who are producing these businesses, this great industrial area that you have in Wheeling. This is something that will serve their needs. This is something that will get some of the congestion off of your roads, so these trucks aren't sitting out there idling. They have some place to go and sit until it's time for them to load up at docks. So I think this business has a purpose, and I think, in the great industrial area that the village of Wheeling has, I think it would benefit the village of Wheeling greatly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, could you give your name and address? And again, you have 5 minutes.
Domingo Villarreal, I live 1123 North Hicks, speaking for my father at 1041 South Dean, Wheeling. My parents have lived there for 49 years, and they are building right now some trucking in west from them, right in front. And I'm concerned about their health and the fumes. And now they want to put this on the north side with 100 and something trucks there. I really think they're in their 80s, and I think with all this diesel coming from all different ways in the airport on the east side, that's going to kill them with all these fumes. And that's what I got to say about that.
Thank you. And thank you, sir. And lastly, I want to apologize if there was some confusion as to signups, and I think everybody got to speak that wanted to speak. Okay? Thank you. Are we ready, Brooke?
Yes.
Thank you. Consent items, docket number SCBA 18-28, Willow Glen Manor, 264 12th Street, appearance approval of freestanding sign. Here it is. And docket number SCBA 18-33, Chris Industries, 290 Larkin Drive, appearance approval of a wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Creech. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Johnson made the second, I believe.
Oh, was it second? I'm sorry.
It's fine.
You threw your voice. You threw your voice, Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Items for review, docket number 2018, 13A, B, and C. Continued from July 12, 2018, JV Global Services. Mallory?
Yes, so good evening, everyone. We have a lot on the agenda tonight, but we're going to be starting off with the continued petitions for JV Global. These public hearings were continued from July 12, 2018. There are 3 zoning matters for the Plan Commission's consideration: the rezoning of the properties to I-3, a text amendment adding a transportation center to the I-3 zoning district as a new special use, and then the special use for the transportation center at this location. Just as a recap for everyone in the audience, at the July 12th, 2018 hearings, the petitioner presented its petitions. The public was able to ask questions and provide testimony. The petitioner responded to the public statements, and then the Plan Commission had started asking its questions. We did not get through all of the Plan Commission's questions, so that's where we'll be starting tonight. The petitioner will also then be able to respond to or answer any of the Plan Commission comments or questions. After the Plan Commission finishes, the public will be given a final opportunity to ask questions relating to the Plan Commission's questions or comments and the petitioner's response to those questions or comments. This time will be limited to asking specific questions only. The petitioner will then have the opportunity to respond to those questions from the public, and the Plan Commission will follow up on any outstanding matters with the petitioner before deliberating and voting. We do have a lot on the agenda, and so if this hearing is taking a while or seems to be taking a significant amount of time, the Commission has the option to and will likely table this hearing until later on in the evening so that the Commission can get through the original items on the agenda and then finish the JV Global matters later on.
Thank you, Ms. Malusi. And just for clarification, could you please again state where the public can again just ask questions?
It would be after the Plan Commission finishes all of its questions, the petitioner is given the opportunity to respond to those questions or comments. Once the Plan Commission has finished all of them, then we would open it back up for specific questions that relate to what the Plan Commission brought out. Whether it was at the July 12th or today, but that discussion between the Plan Commission and petitioner.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. So at the last meeting, we had gone through the text amendment. We had talked about the rezoning, and we were going to go through to the special use. Mr. Stavros, would you like to open this up again? Comments?
Again, thank you very much. I think, just for clarification purposes, I think there has to be a decision on the rezoning. Otherwise, the other issues would fall. There would be no basis to go forward with any discussion. And I think procedurally, he's correct on that. Because if we don't have a rezoning, then there would be no text amendment with a special use. But I would just like to say that the standards for the rezoning were all recommended by your staff in the report. And staff's comments were rezoning I-3 is consistent with the comprehensive plan for future land use. And in paragraph 2, they say the subject site is shown as industrial on a comprehensive plan. Proposed rezoning of I-3 general industrial district is consistent with the comprehensive plan. So the rezoning would go from the comprehensive plan from an I-1 to an I-3. But if it's not going to, then the other issues, I think, would be moved because we can't address a text amendment, we can't address a special use. So again, I'm not telling you how to run your meeting, but I think we have to have a clarification on a point before we go forward.
Yeah, we can do a brief recess if you want. That is an option. The only concern is we'd want to put in some language so that the board would send that back for a full hearing, to continue the hearing on special use, to vet it out.
I will recommend I would like to hear a motion to to take a 5-minute recess so I can discuss this and just make sure we're clear, and we'll come back.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Or a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Dorban. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Mafado.
Yes. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you. This way?
Are we all going in?
No. No, we can't have we can't have another public meeting.
That's right. No, it was.
Well,
You did it to yourself, huh?
We're back in session. Thank you. Mallory?
Okay, so what the Plan Commission can do is it can take a vote on the rezoning and text amendment to see, because they do then directly tie to the ability to obtain a special use. And then if the vote is positive, we could proceed with the special use hearing tonight. If the vote was negative, I would recommend continuing the special use hearing until after the board takes a vote on the rezoning and text amendment to know what we would. And obviously, if the board vote was positive, then we'd still need to do the special use hearing. But if you're okay with that.
I am, and I think Mr. Stylin's correct. I mean, procedurally, that's what has to happen. If we don't get to the rezoning, then everything else is moot. We have to go into order.
Right.
So, okay.
They're usually heard together. We want them to give you the opportunity, so we just want to make
We
sure.
can still go forward with the evidence, for a text amendment for special use, so the board has something to review, but I think procedurally, you got to get the zoning. The zoning's not going to be approved by the Plan Commission or by the board. Where are we going on a text amendment or special use? I think you have to have the zoning first.
So we're going to vote on the text amendment and the special use. We're going to vote on both.
The
Yeah.
rezoning.
The rezoning.
Rezoning, I'm sorry, rezoning. We're going to vote on the text amendment and the rezoning, and if, just to reiterate, if it is a negative vote here, we will continue the special use because, as everyone knows, we are just a recommending board
Right.
to the village. And if it's a positive vote here, then we will continue on with the special use.
Tonight. Yeah,
Tonight.
well, tonight.
Right.
That's the way I
Okay.
envision it.
Okay.
So,
Then I guess make sure that the commission doesn't have any additional questions or anything, or comments
Any
on
questions,
those two
comments?
issues.
On the text amendment or
rezoning.
right,
I have nothing further on those.
exactly. And everybody is clear on what we are voting for now? Yes, okay, I heard some nods, so let's move forward. We're going to vote on the text amendment, 2018-13A text amendment to add transportation center as a special use in the I-3 General Industrial District. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Creech, second by Commissioner Kalis. Mr. Secretary. Right.
Commissioner Creech.
No.
Commissioner Kalis.
No.
Commissioner Dorban.
No.
Commissioner Johnson.
No.
Commissioner Powers votes no, and Chairman Rafato.
No. 2018-13B, rezoning from I-1 Light Industrial and Office District and R1A Single Family Residential District to I-3 General Industrial District. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Dorban.
No.
Commissioner Powers votes no. Commissioner Creech.
No.
Commissioner Johnson.
No.
Commissioner Kalis.
No.
Chairman Rafato.
No. A motion to continue 2018-13C special use site plan approval of a transportation center to a date certain.
That date would be August 23rd. That's the next available Plan Commission
When would it go
date.
before the board?
August 6th.
August 6th.
August 6th. And then the next available back here, if it's returned, would be,
August 23rd.
okay, I guess those are the dates.
Great. So do I hear a motion to continue 2018-13C special use site plan approval of a transportation center?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Dorban.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Chairman Rafato?
Yes. So do we close this or we just continue? How do we make a motion? Do we have a motion?
You can close the public hearings for A and B.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearings on 13A and 13B?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Doravan?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Stavros, we have something for you to sign. And this shows the votes for tonight. You have a couple, right?
Would that be 6:30 on the 6th?
Yes.
Yes, yes. You can start by signing those two things. They should be both the same, and you can keep one copy. You can keep that one, the bottom one. Thank you, and then we'll have one more for you to sign.
Yeah,
Actually-
unfortunately, it's one of those months where the first Monday and the second Thursday are the same week, so there's no way to.
Because we're on time. We have time.
Are you giving me the motions and the seconds for the special use trees?
Yes.
What does this be?
Powers, Doorman.
Okay.
These were the two we voted on.
Yep.
You never know. You never know when you need to know.
Go.
Just learned from last time.
So we have to wait until 6:30, right?
You're
We
welcome.
have to wait until 6:30.
Have something like.
Thank you.
Right.
Mr. Stavros, this is yours. Thank you. Okay. So, just for clarification, folks, for anybody that's in the audience, for the items for review, B, C, D, and E, we cannot start those until 6:30 because it's a public hearing. So what I will do right now, to take up some of the time, is we will do the approval of minutes for June 28th, 2018, and July 12th, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, I have a change.
Okay?
I email Brooke, I had a change on page 272 of the packet, correction, Commissioner Powers instead of Commissioner Bonova. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Did you get that, Brooke?
Yes,
Yeah.
I already received.
Okay.
Yes.
So on which one was that? June 28th?
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th with the changes that were just mentioned?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I hear a motion on July 12th, 2018?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have 6 minutes, so now let's wait until other business. You want to do other business? Okay. I will continue on with other business. Commissioner Johnson, do you have anything?
No, unfortunately, I do not. I'm sorry, I can't help fill your time.
Commissioner Powers?
I'm going to be no help either. No, I don't.
Commissioner Doravan?
Unfortunately, I don't either.
We can always count
I
on
know.
you.
I let you all down, sorry.
Commissioner Kalis?
No, none here.
Okay, Commissioner Creech?
I'm with the rest of them, I have nothing.
Okay, well, since we have a couple of minutes, I can show pictures of my new grandchild that was just born this week.
Well, you know what? How about if we
Oh.
talk about the Taste of the Town coming up on September 27th? That will be
Yeah,
held.
the Taste of the Town is coming up September 27th.
And that'll
That's the
be-
next big event, right?
Yes, it's a very
Okay,
big
so-
event for the chamber, and it will this year be held at Chevy Chase, so it's a new location. Parking hopefully will be better, and people will be there, and call the chamber and come and get your tickets, and I'd love to sell you a lot of tickets. Or encourage all the restaurants who want to be in it to come and see us.
I have other news, Chairman.
Yes.
I'd like to commend the Wheeling Fire Department. We have an issue with our flagpole, and they offered to come out and help us resurrect the issue with our flagpole today. And
Oh, cool.
I just love the community that they help their citizens.
Great.
It's lovely.
Okay, that killed them out. So we have 4 more minutes. We have 4 minutes. We're going to take another break. We will start promptly at 6:30. I'm sorry, but it is a public hearing and we have to start. So we have 4 minutes. Thank you.
I could have talked more about that.
Andrew, can you do some stand-up routine or something?
Calling the meeting back to order. Thank you. Thank you very much for your patience. Let me get to the agenda here. Okay. Calling docket number 2018-14, Dolly's Bistro, 747 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval of a sit-down restaurant. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-14, Dolly's Bistro LLC contract tenant is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05 mixed use districts, Chapter 19-10 use regulations, Chapter 19-12 site plan approval requirements and associated sections in order to establish a sit-down restaurant at 747 West Dundee Road, Wheeling, Illinois, which is zoned MXT transit-oriented mixed-use district. Standards for special use. A zoning special use is defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning as a use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding properties that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for special use, petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why the request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request for a special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything else to add?
Not at this time.
Okay, great. Good evening. I assume you're the petitioners because you ran up here. So if you could state your names. Well, before you do that, are you both going to speak tonight? So could you raise your right hand? Both raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give to be the truth tonight?
Yes.
You do. So as you speak, would you please give your name and business address is fine.
Okay, my name is Louise Rycraft, and the business is Dolly's Bistro at 747 West Dundee.
Great, okay.
Sandy Pietroso, Dolly's Bistro, 747 Dundee.
Okay, great. So the floor is yours to describe what you're going to do with this property.
Well, we're going to put in a restaurant, like a sit-down cafe with sandwiches. We're going to do a variety of sausage sandwiches, craft beers, wine, coffees, different types of coffees. And then we wanted to put the gaming in there. It would be 5 machines.
Okay. And so is there any, so the seating, again, you're, for this, I don't recall, what is the seating for this, Mallory, that's required?
For a gaming cafe?
Yeah. Just so.
I believe there's no minimum.
There's no minimum?
No minimum, it just can't be more than.
Okay.
Not more than 30.
Okay. And I assume you've read the staff report?
The notes, yeah.
Right, okay, great. Any other thing to add?
About the notes?
No, about, in general, what you're presenting here?
No, I mean, I have another place that my family, not with Sandra, but with my husband and I in East Dundee.
Okay.
And we've run that for 4 years. It's family-owned and operated.
Okay.
We had more of a full menu out there, but we've made changes over the years according to what the market would call for. Mm-hmm. And that's where I came to the idea of the sausages and the hot dogs and stuff, because that seems to be what the people want the most. And we do appetizers and stuff like that, and we will have desserts.
Okay.
We do have the lucky cake. I'm not sure if we're going to do that or not because it's fresh made. And you don't want to freeze them, so we might just do like cheesecakes and stuff like that.
Okay, great. Okay. Anything else to add? No? Okay. So this is a public hearing. If you could probably sit down.
Okay.
This is a public hearing, and now we have chance for folks to speak on this, and we have 3 people signed up. Grace Bistoni, please come forward. And as you come up, raise your hand. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
The whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Yes.
So if you could give your name and address?
Grace Bastone, 9450 Oakhurst Lane. I'm the property owner down the street from the site that you're talking about having a new license or admitting a new license for gambling. I was a little confused. One of it says a gambling cafe, and the other thing that we're talking about tonight also says a sit-down restaurant. So it's a little confusing. I understand about a cafe. Number one, I was wondering if in that cafe there's going to be a full kitchen with a stove, an exhaust hood, 3-compartment sink, and all the regulations for a full sit-down restaurant for 8 seats. I was questioning that. So that's not very clear if it's going to be a full-service restaurant or if it's going to be a gaming room. If it's a gaming room, then I'd like to bring your attention to that there are, within a third of a mile, currently 3 gaming rooms or 3 places that have 5 machines each, gaming machines. And that would bring another 5 machines in, so that would be another 5. And then with the new proposed other agenda on the docket, here would be the new, another one. So we're talking about having like 5 locations currently, and then 1 new one coming in, 6 within a half a mile. So it seems as though it's a little bit overdone as far as I'm concerned. And my situation is that we've always been proud of Restaurant Row, and now I think we're going to be called Gambling Row. One little section of Dundee Road will be known for how many machines you can jam into one little area. I think it's overdone, and we've been in business. Well, I'm a property owner, so my tenants, which happen to be my family, they've been in business for 20 years here. And when the machines came in, we were the first ones to have the machines. So my daughter will talk about that later. Because we're talking about 2 new locations, not just 1, within a matter of walking distance. So I'm highly opposed to it. As a property owner, adjacent to the Gaslight Shopping Center. And then I will go on to my next objection when we go to the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Donna Bastone. Hi.
Good evening.
You swear the testimony you give to be the truth tonight?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And if you can give your name and address.
Donna Bastone, 767 West Dundee Road, the Prop Station, Inc. I'm Grace's daughter, and first of all, I'd like to express my extreme pleasure with all the new building that's going on around here, the Plan Commission's new town center. We're loving it. We're really excited about the growth that's happening here in Wheeling. As my mom said, we are in business for 20 years. And right now, I'd like to give you a little bit of my opinions on the new gambling institutions that are planned for our area. First, I'd like to state that in addition to owning a business, I have another job, and I have worked in the business with people that are involved in this gaming industry. And I see the figures and the numbers coming all around us, and I notice that there is a point of saturation in each individual environment, in each individual municipality. And pulling the figures, I noticed that we have reached the saturation point in 2016 when we brought in 15 locations and had 68 games, I believe. And right next door to us, we have Prospect Heights, and they have the same amount of locations, same amount of games, and we are at a level playing field for the last 2 years on the money that the revenues that we bring into the village. I know that, its sole purpose when gaming was allowed in Illinois, it was intended for standing establishments to help with the economy with the big hit that we took in 2008. The Illinois Gaming Board decided that, established businesses that were already in business for entertainment were allowed to have these games come in. They found a way to get the revenue. But there were some unique minds, creative minds came in, got some licenses, and their main goal is for play, to let people come in, sit down and play. Secondary is food, they give it away. And third is the liquor sales taxes, which really some of the businesses that I work for pay a sales tax once a year because they do not purchase or sell enough booze to create any income. We pay about $84,000 in sales taxes a year. We pay a restaurant in other places for eating taxes every month. And sometimes I'm late and I have to pay the penalty. Well, I'll admit that too. But I believe that this saturation point going forward, there's so many different businesses that are coming into Wheeling. We have Boston Fish Market. We have Bob Chin's that has a liquor license that I don't know why they don't have the gaming inside. They're established and they have a value in this industry. We don't see any new value being added by, I'm sorry to say, but putting a hot dog or a sausage in a convention oven and calling it a gourmet sandwich. I don't see how you can call gambling, which it is, luxury high-end. If anybody plays and anybody goes to any of these type of kiosks, you don't see the sequins and people clicking glasses and having this fun time with the machines. They are very serious, wanting to win. We pay out 92% on our games. It helped us with payroll, it helped us purchase, it helped us keep our doors open, but that was not our main purpose of getting into this industry and having this in our establishment. However, they go hand in hand. We had a bar, a liquor store. Those are the things that gambling goes with. A restaurant with alcohol. They're offering really substantial value to the community. It's not that you're coming in, and some of them are from out of state, and we do not see the money coming back into the state. It's leaving because the investors are from Montana, some are from Vegas, and we are local. And we don't see how this will benefit all of us down the road. And we are opposing this location because I work with places that have them next door to each other, different corporation names, same owners. They're making it, and that's how they're making their money. The money is in the commission, and it's not in the food, it's not in the value it brings, and it's not any kind of new revenue that's going to be generated within this community. It actually is. The idea of capitalism is to get paid by the value of what you create times the risk that you take while creating it. And we have created loyalty, loyal customers, an entertaining facility. There's a gathering place. People come in and rent out our room for parties, funerals, unfortunately. A lot of different things. We have a our building is welcoming, and we have an investment in this community and with all of our patrons that are here with us. I don't see any other benefit, especially that we're earning the same amount for Wheeling with the existing games that we have right now. And until the town center is ready, we don't see a need for any more because our games are not being used all the time. There are empty chairs in there all day long. Sometimes it hits, and there's a lot of people. And once in a while, you'll see somebody leave if there's 5 games being in use. But it's the same people, and it's the same money, and they're just playing. They're winning, but not a lot. And I think that the revenue that we've brought into this village, the years that we've spent, the liquor licenses that we've watched come into the village and take away some of our income and the livelihood of our employees. It's just going to hurt our business financially, and we don't see how we'd be able to keep our doors open if we have to share with this with new people coming into town when there's still existing companies that haven't even taken advantage of this. So I'm sorry to say that I am opposed to this issue, and I think that we should wait for new businesses to come in who will add valuable value to this. And whatever you call it, you know, it's gambling. However you look at it, the revenues are hitting this level. We're saturated right now as it is, and if another one opens, another kiosk will close. I don't see businesses closing, but they have been hurt by the opening of these small gambling kiosks, is what I call them, because that's what basically they're into it for. You can microwave a sandwich and offer up little treats and things like that, and there will be no sales on food. There will be no sales, a limited sales on alcohol and water, pops free. You know, you're giving it away. We're still spending our money to buy these things, paying a lot of sales tax within this community. So I know that there was one more point that I wanted to make. I know that there's an embellishment in these sales pitches that these people come out and talk about it. Their forecast incomes are optimistic at best, you know, but we actually know what this business is, and if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. That's just how I feel, and I'm very sorry about it. I have nothing against new businesses coming into this town. I love seeing new businesses come into this town. We're invested in Wheeling. I just sold a home in Arizona, and I was thinking about investing in purchasing a home right up the street here, and it's exciting to see the growth, but I'm just afraid to see the growth go in the wrong direction. And that's what I have to say, and thank you for hearing me, and I appreciate all you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Soa. You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Your name and address?
My name is Deborah Soa. I am with Grace and Donna. I'm at 767 West Dundee at Prop Station Inc. I'm part owner with my family there. I actually said no when we first purchased the property. So I have been brought in against my will. However, since I'm here, I just wanted to reiterate, you know, a little bit of what my mom and my
They're
sister...
covering their eyes back there. I just want to tell you.
It's okay. They know how I feel. You know, we've been in this town for 20 years. It's what a community it is. Our people that are in our establishment come in, unfortunately, some of them daily, but usually it's just such a community gathering, and people have each other's backs. And so we are not really a problem in Wheeling. I think we have a good establishment there, that there has not been very many problems that have come, you know, with the police or anything like that. But what I want to say is about this gambling. I think that Buffalo Grove, Prospect Heights, Arlington Heights, and Northbrook have just approved some of their gambling to open their villages up. And I believe that when I called the Gaming Commission in Illinois, I asked them what happens when villages have certain gaming establishments open in the near vicinity of the other ones. And they've seen it in a couple towns, Crestwood and Midlothian, that one opens and the older one closes. So my thing is, I'm surprised that not many more people are here, you know, to help support the ones that are already existing. But on our end, like Donna said, we don't have everyone gambling all the time, and but it does help us with our bills, and it's something that I think is a detriment to have more of these establishments coming in, just like it was when, you know, Walgreens, Target, Walmart brought in liquor
we lost such a huge amount of business just because of that. You know, and the liquor business is just not where it was when there were only 3 liquor licenses here in Wheeling before. So my whole point of this is that I believe that it is saturated, and I really don't want to see something 2 doors down or 3 doors down from our establishment. But I do welcome new business, but I am kind of, you know, the amount of tax and the food tax that we bring directly to the village, I think, is important, and that's something that we continually pay, and we are, you know, hoping that we can continue to pay for another 20 years. So I just don't want to see our business go under and not be able to pay rent or pay our employees. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you could please come forward again. There was one question that when the comments was made about the full kitchen. So how is your kitchen, can you describe your kitchen and what it's going to be?
What we have is a Mary Chef oven. It works off of convection microwave, and it's called impingement heating, where it can cook everything. It's like pressurized cooking.
You could be closer to
If we were going to do the fries, we have greaseless fryers. It's called Quick and Crispy. It can fry anything without oil and without gas. We use it now currently at our other place. And I do have to disagree with the people not enjoying to come in here, that they're coming in there just strictly to sit and gamble. Because I've been out there for 4 years. I have people, residents from all over the area, couples that come in. Maybe they don't want to go have a full dinner and then play, but they'll want to play. They come in, they have a cup of coffee, a cookie, or they'll have a glass of wine and a sandwich, and they like to play the machines, and they truly enjoy themselves. We are not a chain. We're not from out of town. I have one place. I've run it with my family for 4 years. Sandra wanted to go into something with the food and with the games. I decided to go partners with her on one more place. And fair business. I mean, I've been in the restaurant business and bar business since 1971. Nowadays, if you want to go open a place to have sandwiches and the place down the block has got machines and you don't, they are not coming to you. I found that over and over and over for the past 4 years.
It's a totally different, different atmosphere.
Different market. Yeah. I see even pizza places that are out by me. One's got games, the other ones don't. And I hear the people talking. They're going to the one with the games. That's just the way it is nowadays. So I have to disagree with that too. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. We will now go to the Plan Commission. Where's my list here? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. My first one is actually for Brooke. The definition between sit-down restaurant and gaming cafe. I know this has come up at one of the other ones where they came to us as a sit-down restaurant, then they came back and said, no, we just want to be a gaming cafe.
So the zoning code does not define gaming cafe. It's just a term we use because we're familiar with this type of business. The zoning code has a definition, a couple definitions for restaurants. There's a sit-down restaurant where you consume the food on the premises, where there's a takeout restaurant where you primarily consume the food off the premises, and then there's also a drive-through restaurant. Since they're serving food and beverages, this is considered a sit-down restaurant.
But then isn't there a minimum on the seating
That's with
that we ran into before?
That's with the liquor licensing. So there's designations within the village's liquor licensing between the number of seats, and that's where the gaming cafe is defined as part of the NV liquor license versus a, I believe, Class A liquor license, which is for a larger sit-down restaurant that has over 30 seats. So for a special use consideration, there are no, for restaurants or any type of food establishments, there's no seating distinction, correct?
Right.
So it just has to do with the liquor.
It's the liquor license distinction.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, no problem.
You answered some of my questions. One thing that I don't see in your plan is a designated smoking area. If this were to go through, you have to have an area outside.
We don't have smoking in the...
No, but your customers are gonna still be smoking somewhere.
So in the strip center, is there a designated smoking center for the other businesses?
Not that I'm aware of, and I don't know.
Because
it's gotta be
there
15
currently is
feet.
there's a Mexican restaurant, and there's also a donut shop and a laundromat. So I don't know where their customers, where do they go to smoke?
Those restaurants were approved before the current no smoking regulations are in place. So there was no outdoor smoking designated at that time.
Is that what you do then? You designate a certain area, or how does that work?
The petitioner has to determine that with the owner of the property. So that has to be determined, smoking area.
Okay.
And it has to be, whatever the regulations are.
15 feet from any public entrance.
Any public entrance, so you have a number of public entrances here that are going to have to be addressed.
Okay.
Let's see. I noticed in the fire department memo that this space would require a sprinkler system be added. Is that correct, Mr. Antor?
Correct. In the village's municipal code, the section relating to sprinklers, there is a retrofit provision, and with the changes in use from the existing tenancy to the current tenancy, and the occupant load for the space, that would trigger the retrofit provision for sprinklers in the tenant space.
And you're aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's all I have for now, thanks.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I pretty much had the same questions as Mr. Johnson did, as far as the smoking and the sprinklers. It also mentions bike rack. I would think that there would be a bike rack that could be shared for this shopping center. And the smoking, I'm sure that all could be addressed when they're issuing the permits. So I have nothing further. Thank you.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. So you have another location, you said, Dolly's Links, where is that?
It's in East Dundee.
East Dundee. And how long has that been open?
4 years.
Okay, and then was the menu, we saw a picture, but is that just kind of a condensed version of what you have going on over there?
Right.
So this is more of like a cafe version of your full restaurant?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, in East Dundee, we've done full catering and everything out there. We have a full kitchen.
Okay. Yes, so this is much more pared down version of that, it seems. I should have gone out and had a sausage and seen how I liked it. Do you have an estimate of breakdown? So there's going to be food, drinks, gaming, right? Is there in your business plan, do you have an estimate of the breakdown of what you expect? And I don't.
Besides the gaming, I would say probably more food than alcohol.
Okay. Is it a full bar at your other place? Like, are you trying to mimic, or is it?
It's just going to be beer and wine.
Beer and wine, okay. I'm just trying to get a sense for the experience and what would draw people there versus what's available in the village already. So the tax revenue for your gaming machines is going back to Wheeling? I know there was a comment about that, but can you confirm that
It's a percentage of what we get in some complicated percentage that the.
But it's no different than any other.
It's no different than any other gaming
machine
in the village. In the state.
In the state. Okay, it was said. I just wanted to clarify that.
And that's a good clarification.
Yeah. And then, I had a question about the smoking as well, but that's it for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to confirm again, your hours are 8 AM to midnight? And it's 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Okay. For staff, I'm just kind of curious, what kind of hours does Stella's have, like for a comparison? Do they open, is it like around the same thing?
Of similar, I don't know the exact
No,
hours,
that's fine, but it's similar?
Yes.
Okay. The only other thing is on your, in your floor plan, you show 15 seats, and then in the project description, it's 13 seats, and on the project description, you say 15. Is it 13 or 15?
Well, I think on the plan, they had it for 13, but then they said that there was room for another 2 seats if you wanted to put it there. So they were saying that it would be like a maximum 15.
So is
I
that?
remember what I read.
So
The
if you need,
architect did it.
if you needed to use 15, you would just go with that?
If it called for that, I mean, if the market's there for,
How do we work that when there's, because it seems.
Well, there's a question of calculation of parking and how we did it. If you could find that quickly.
Okay.
I think we only put the 8 in there, wasn't it? The 8 and the 5, and then, but they were saying that there was room for
Based on
more.
staff's calculation, they may have 15 seats.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
At this point, I have nothing else.
Commissioner Dorbin.
I'm really kind of confused why you would want to open an establishment in this area when there's so much concentration of other gaming machines.
Well, I think when we seeked this out, hasn't there been a couple more since
then.
Since we seeked it out? Yeah.
We didn't know that the other one was down there by the Fresh Farm area, and then now there was another one that was coming. We weren't aware of that at the time. That's been since we've started this process.
So since you started this project, you've come to realize that there are others in their very close vicinity.
Right.
So let me get my head around how you think this is going to be a viable move for you.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I think that these types of businesses also, I think they feed off of each other.
They go around, to different places.
Yeah.
Where I'm at out there in East Dundee, they've opened a lot of different places, but not everybody will run theirs the same way. Some of them will just be there and nobody, interacts with them or anything. In our place, we're more, like I said, we've run it 7 days a week and we're there all the time. We know all the people that come in and we do a very good business. So it's a matter of how you run it and
I'm just,
if they prefer to go by you or not.
I guess I'm just having a hard time picturing 3 of them like basically right in a row within walking distance and how you can actually benefit and make money. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We've talked about the bike rack, and there was another condition about, I think, Kyle, you put in there about a grease trap that is part of permitting, so I'm not concerned about that. But, Brooke, if you could bring up the photo of the existing conditions. Thank you. The condition of the parking lot is terrible.
I was going to make a comment on that, but the issue that I think we have with shopping centers like this is that each individual tenant is leasing out a separate section.
Right.
So, where does their parking lot end and where does the next person's begin? Like, if you were to draw lines from their building straight out, you'd probably be, splitting up parking spots in half, and, we leave them responsible for, doing
right.
theirs, or the actual landlord who owns this building, does that then become a property maintenance thing? That's kind of, on shopping centers like this, that's kind of.
How do we address that? I mean, because, and here's my concern, we can't get the landlord in here.
Yeah.
And if we have an opportunity to do that, such as this.
I wonder if at that point, does it become a property maintenance thing where we, would, our community development would have to cite them for something like this? I don't know how we go about going through with that.
How can we go about doing that? And I understand the burden on the petitioner, but that parking lot, I frequent it all the time, because my grandkids like going to the donut shop, and it's a terrible.
It is, and like I said, this was
shape.
definitely a consideration of ours, with the engineering division here, but how to enforce it and to what limits would we require them to repair it? It kind of became a little bit of a gray area, especially when we have probably a landlord who owns the entire thing. Yeah, that's kind of.
So how can we address that through code enforcement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we can make sure we make a note to go out and inspect and cite, and do notices of violation or citations if necessary to the landlord.
Okay, because it takes away from anything that is in that shopping center. Takes away, it does, it definitely does. And there's evidence right in front of us right here. This is a little bit, well, actually, the building is dark, but the parking lot is right there in front of you. Cracks and holes and patches and I think since I've been on the board, this has probably been done at least twice, so we need to do this through code enforcement. I won't make it as a condition of approval, so. Is there? Yes, no, maybe so. I will wait.
Ready. Do you want me to? Would you like me to read the conditions?
Yeah, are there any other questions from the commission?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to tack on to what Commissioner Dorban was saying about how close in proximity these places are, besides I think one of the other people pointed out, there's 15 establishments, there's 64 terminals in town, and then there are 5 that are currently pending for applications.
5 businesses or terminals?
Pardon?
5 businesses that are
5
pending,
businesses,
not-
5 establishments.
so 25 terminals-ish.
Yeah, which would take it up to 20 establishments without even looking at this one.
Or the next one.
And they're pretty spread out throughout town, but primarily along Dundee Road.
And there wasn't a question, that was just a comment.
Just a
wanted to
comment,
make sure.
just adding on.
All right, that's fine. If there's no more questions, I'm looking for a motion for docket number 2018-14.
Do you have any conditions?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
That's what you were going to do, and
So I interrupted.
somebody interrupted.
No problem. Condition number 1, a rack for 2 bicycles shall be added to the site prior to occupancy. Number 2, prior to occupancy, the business shall obtain a Class NV liquor license, and the use shall be consistent with the Class NV liquor license with respect to food and beverage sales. 3, an outdoor smoking area shall be designated prior to occupancy. 4, seating for up to 15 shall be allowed. And 5, recommend code enforcement of parking lot condition.
Okay, so just a comment on the 2 things. The bike rack, the parking for bikes, do they need to work with you to ensure that's in an opportune spot that could potentially?
Yes, I would require
So-
that prior to their business
So
license
you
being
might
issued.
want to add that to the bike and the smoking area, that those have to be agreed upon before issuing? Do we need to
Yes,
add?
I wrote prior to occupancy, so
Okay.
that would be prior to their
So-
business license.
Okay, got it. I just wanted that clarification. Thank you. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion for docket number 2018-14, Dolly's Bistro.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Creech, second by Commissioner Kalis. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
No.
Commissioner Johnson?
No.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Chairman Nafato?
Yes. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You'll have something to sign? Thank you. And just again, for clarification, we are a recommending board. We do not, this is not a final decision. This will go to the village board
August 6th.
August 6th. So you will have an opportunity to speak there.
August 6th, and it'll be here at the
Yep.
same time?
Same bad time.
6:30.
6:30?
6:30, yes,
time.
6:30.
On Monday, August 6th.
And you have something to sign.
Okay.
Just one is fine. Sign both of those by the petitioner right there. And you can keep a copy of that.
Parking lot stipulation, is that something that's contingent on?
That was a recommendation.
It's a recommendation.
Did you say I keep the other one?
Right, yes, thank you. That one's yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I-
Yes, that would be after the board. Yes.
Right, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I close that?
Thank you.
Yes, you did.
I did, thank you very much. Calling docket number 2018-15, June's Wheeling. 755 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval of a sit-down restaurant. Brooke, anything?
Nothing at this time.
Petitioner here? Oh, yes, please, I'm sorry.
Oh, actually, I would like to say, sorry. The staff report and the submittals of the petitioner are part of the public record.
Great.
And then I'll read docket number 2018-15, June's Wheeling LLC contract tenant is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05 mixed use districts, Chapter 19-10 use regulations, Chapter 19-12 site plan approval requirements, and associated sections in order to establish a sit-down restaurant at 755 West Dundee Road, Wheeling, Illinois, which is zoned MXT, Transit-Oriented Mixed-Use District. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And anything else to add?
No.
Is the petitioner here? Please come forward. Thank you. Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And if you could give your name and business address, and if you could lift up that microphone so we can hear you. Thank you.
Angela Tabian, 755 West Dundee.
Right. Okay. So the floor is yours to explain what you are looking for.
Yes, so we are, I'm sure this will sound like a repeat from the ladies who were just up, but we are looking to open an upscale luxury video gaming cafe that would also serve beer and wine. We serve tapas in our restaurant. Our menu for June's is mostly like spring rolls and like southern items. We have a business owner who crafts all of our menu items for us and sends them in to us. We would have seating for 13, but that's flexible. We can adjust our seating requirements if that's felt that it's necessary. June's will follow the same culture that all of the business owners, other businesses do, which is a very high-end feel. But June's is going to host like warm, rich tones. So kind of thinking like Ralph Lauren, like sophisticated library, rich woods, things like that. That's where we're going with June's. This will be the first of a June's. And we are, I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm gonna add. One of the things that we do in our build out with any of our businesses is we generally invest about $200 per square foot if it's a retail establishment. That's something that we take pride in. It's something that we realize a lot of the other cafes may not be doing. And we look to really drive that type of person in who would go to a casino, not necessarily pull from the restaurant business. There tends to be two different types of gaming people. If all somebody has is a restaurant, yeah, maybe they're gonna go there, but most likely they're gonna drive to a casino if that's what they're looking for. So we really try to create that VIP Vegas experience for our guests, so that it's really a personalized experience. We pay a higher wage than other gaming lounges. We look for that caliber of person in their service. We, what was I gonna say? We support local businesses. We do like a lot of like complimentary items, but also like giveaway gift cards, things like that. So we buy local gift cards from spas, restaurants, things like that to give away to some of our better customers, people who come in frequently. So those are all some of the components that we would bring with June's.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. And we have 3 names, if you could just sit down. Do I have to swear them in again?
Yes.
Do I
Yes.
have to? Okay. Grace? And I'm going to have to swear you in again, so. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
The whole truth and nothing but. Thank you.
Thank you. And your name and address?
Grace Basto, 945 Oakhurst Lane.
Great, thank you.
We sound like we are going back over the same problems again, which is true that we have too many facilities on our street on Dundee Road, which is now Gambling Row, as far as I'm concerned, but I have other problems with this location. This location is directly abut to ours, to my property, and the photo that you showed doesn't really show the true parking situation in front of the stores from Advanced Auto Part all the way down. Usually, as if you were coming tonight, you would see that the whole parking lot all the way to the end of the auto parts place was taken up with cars because the parking on Thursday night, Friday night, at this particular time, 5 o'clock or so, is full. We have quite a few parking places of our own at the end of the area, and I don't like to call it a strip mall because they're all independent-owned pieces of property. But when they were established, these other stores, it was changed. So there was like a problem with the traffic flow to begin with. We now allow parking for 18 cars in back of my property. It's actually in back of theirs, but the only access is through my property to get an additional 18 parking places. My concern is with the fire department. If there's a fire, getting 18 cars out of the back of my property in an emergency is an impossible situation because my front parking lot is usually full. So we have a really bad problem with parking in this whole area, trying to get in and out and making sure that everyone is safe. So our situation is different than the previous applicants for their gambling room, or gambling room as far as I can say. Although I don't like to confuse you or sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but at the other location with the other gaming area, those people also exit from the same exits as our parking facility. There's they have an entrance down by the donut shop, if you know it, everyone knows where the donut shop is. They exit also into the area that is the auto place. There's a turn right there, so that means all the traffic from all the stores, including my own property, the nail place, which is now over-occupied, the legal office, which is now over-occupied, as far as cars are concerned. So there's no place for these cars to go because of occupation. Sorry, I can't talk. Of these places. Come on, guys, give me a break. So what I'm trying to get to and say is that we have a real problem in the parking in this whole area there. So it's different, but it's also the same. When you're talking about how many more cars are coming in, how many more parking places you want to allow, we don't have any more to give. There is no more. We can't do it in this new one, and we can't really do it in the other facility because they're exiting in the same exits, going right into Dundee Road. And the flow of traffic there is ridiculous. So, and you want to put more in there, it doesn't make any sense. Just doesn't make sense to me. So, and the other thing that I wanted to point out, and I have to go back to that other motion that you did not consider, is that the amount of traffic that you're allowing or parking places now is only for 1/3 of the unoccupied store. They're looking to have 3 places. That's what happened with the grocery store next door to us. There was only 1 store, and then they divided it up into 3 different units. And in those units, they overoccupied those. So there's no parking for anybody over there now. Because when the original plan came through for the grocery store, which is right next door to our building, right to the east of us, now there are 3 stores there where there was 1. And that's exactly what they're going to do over here too. It's only for half of the building. It's not the full building that you're looking at. So on the breakout, it did say 1/3 of the property. So that is really my major concern. It's a really bad situation there with parking. And on top of it, the people that are driving there do not know how to drive. They don't know how to back up. They don't know how not to scrape other people's cars. They don't know where they're going to deliver their items for their grocery store that's there now, because I won't let the trucks go in the back. And I also don't get any funding back to take care of the maintenance from all these cars, 18 cars daily. They go in and out, plus, and I don't even charge them. So there's a big problem here. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something. So we cannot have any more parking in there. It's impossible. Thank you.
Done. Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And your name?
Thank you. So,
and your name?
My name is Donna Bastone, 767 West Dundee Road, Prop Station Inc., Wheeling. I don't understand the Plans Commission's vision then of what's going to happen with our town. I know that there's a lot of gaming going on. I know that when everybody comes in, they all want a piece of this pie. And it's easy to do. It's easy to incorporate. It's easy to spend, for some of these people, $150,000 to put furniture and games and, that's their outlay costs of that. And when I see that they are making money by advertising prizes, pulling people from other kiosks, thinking they offer them something more. How many crock pots can you have walk around? Trips to Vegas maybe for 2 people. A lot of raffles, things like this. In order to bring the people in, this is how they pull the money in from other people that are already existing. And like I said, I see the numbers. I'm working the numbers. If anybody would like to look over the numbers with me on what we're bringing to Illinois, what we're bringing to Wheeling, how it's been already leveled off. There's only so many people for the time being that are gambling. A lot of people did stop gambling because they know that it's a losing battle. The idea of gambling is for the people that are invested in this to make the money. And I think that you will see that it's just going to be a detriment to our community by allowing so many gambling institutions to be in such a close proximity to each other They go out, they count the roofs of how many houses are in each community. You can't take the census and say, oh, we have 66,000 people here. That means that so many people are going to be gambling in our community. A lot of the people that are in this community are hardworking, and a lot of them will not spend their hard-earned money because it comes to them hard. They work hard and they earn it. And some of the people that they have the easy money, I mean, you see them sometimes coming in and putting the money into the machines. But basically, we're a blue-collar community. I know that everybody's working hard in order to maintain their lifestyles here as it is. And if you're opening up a property for the sole purpose of earning commissions and offering a little bit of a stipend for somebody here, somebody there, the money is still going to flatline at some point. The town is still going to get saturated with all these different businesses. One will compete one way for a new prize. They're going to offer a new prize here or a new prize there, a couple of coupons here, a couple of coupons there for people to come in, and it's just all the same people spending it, winning it. And I think that maybe the vision of the village is to create a small Vegas here. This is how we feel about it. There's not much more to say except that the gambling is a mindset, and I also see how it can affect people negatively. Okay? And that's my point. And I'm sorry, I know it's redundant, it's repetitive, but I think that it was here for a purpose, and I think that everybody's overstepping this main purpose of opening these little kiosks for the benefit of having a little bit of income for their lives. I understand business, but I don't see the value without having more to offer our community. Thank you.
Deborah Soa. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
And your name and address?
Deborah Bastone-Soa, 767 West Dundee.
And please don't
Prop
make them
stationing.
cover their eyes again.
Oh, they will cover. I don't want to repeat myself, but there's one thing that I don't understand. With this June's, I'm sorry, but it says the alcohol consumption, part of the business is secondary to the food and entertainment provided at June's. So my understanding was to have a gambling license, I thought you had to have a liquor license first. And when we had our liquor license, when everyone wanted to come into this village, I'm not sure if it changed, but I thought it was you have to establish your business, get your liquor license, and then 3 months later, you were allowed to have a gaming license. So that's one point, is these people are coming in saying that they're a cafe. However, they need liquor licenses here to get the gaming license.
So just for clarification, we as a plan commission we do not oversee licensing.
Okay.
So that is the state.
A different
And then
issue.
we have liquor commission. All those things, all we evaluate here is the special use.
Okay.
Is that a correct assessment?
So,
Yes.
Okay, thank
okay,
you.
so then that
They
means,
do have to get a liquor license from the village's local liquor commission and from the state in order to operate.
Correct.
Any gaming.
right, okay, so that was my point. My point is that now they're coming in saying that they're a gaming facility, and that's most of their focus is on the gaming and entertainment, not the liquor itself.
We also have, the village's liquor code also has requirement for gaming cafes, that a certain percentage of their sales, like a certain percentage of their profits have to be non-gaming. And the village didn't ask for proof of that once they've been, been running that they meet the criteria.
So when they meet that criteria and they get their liquor license, do they have to buy from a distributor as we do, or are they able to buy their liquor anywhere that they want? That's my one question too.
I'm not 100% sure because I'm not as familiar with right now the liquor requirements, but they would have to comply with any of the village's liquor codes, so.
Okay, so they would have to have trucks coming in and out of their facilities to distribute liquor and alcohol to them, as we do ours, so like my mom was saying, the parking lot is atrocious when it comes to deliveries, with the Indian store there coming with their food. the ice guys coming with their ice, and then the water guys there, and most of the time when they do get their deliveries, it's usually on set days. But my whole point is if they are allowed to bring in the distributors, then that's, extra trucks on our property, in and out of our ingress and egress is how you want to say it. So it's just, just something I want you guys to understand, that that's a situation for us also. But I didn't understand how these little cafes purchase their alcohol, because I know that there's a state law of how people do something like that.
And again, that's not.
That's not you guys. Well, I just wanted to throw it out there.
No, that's fine.
So I just don't know who to talk to about that,
You'll have opportunities at
The board meeting.
Village Board,
Perfect.
again.
I just wanted to say, I think I'm up for new business, but it's really concentrated, and we don't want to lose any of ours. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Okay. I think we've addressed the liquor comments that we have, and that was the only one that I heard that was anything. So we will go with, we'll start with Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this your first operation, or do you have other facilities that are currently open?
We have other facilities under a different business name.
So your corporation, how many do you own?
Each is its own corporation, but we currently have two open, under the name Maze, open in Lake Zurich and Hickory Hills.
The space you're renting, is it actually 1/3 of that old title company space, or is it half?
The title company space, I believe it's half.
Okay.
There's a new facade and a demising wall going on.
And you are aware that you also have to sprinkle that space?
I'm sorry?
You also have to sprinkle that space. You're aware that sprinklers are required for that space?
Oh, yeah, we do that in any build out for any of the business types that we've done.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman. I am looking at the parking situation. So there's going to be 20 seats and one employee. The parking requirement is for 20 seats and one employee, which is 8 stalls. So you combine your parking with AutoZone? Is that how it works? Like, how many spots are you entitled with this space?
It's not an entitlement issue, but we have actually had a formal parking study conducted on one of our existing businesses, and at any max given time, we are only anticipated to ever need no more than 6 spaces, and that's max. That's if every seat's full and we have our employee. They usually consider, I think, 2 persons per vehicle or something on those lines, but we do have a formal, we paid somebody to conduct a parking study for the business in general.
And this June's is going to be the same size as your Maze?
Yeah, they're all around 1,000 to 1,200 square feet.
Okay, I'm trying to reconcile in my brain the concern about parking from the neighboring building and business overflowing, which I've seen and experienced. But as for your petition, I don't think that's your problem necessarily. You know what I'm saying? If there's cars that are going all the way to the laundromat, then they're just taking your spots if you own that land. So I'm trying to figure out the reality of the situation, that it is a monstrosity with parking there because of the popularity of that business. But at the same time, those are your spots. And currently there's nobody there. There's no business there, so people can park there and it won't matter. But if there is you there and then cars from another business are parking there, then you're going to have a problem that you need to address with patrons of that business overflowing. Right? So that's, in my mind, from a business individual petition standpoint, that's the concern, not that you guys have too much parking that's overflowing. It is a problem, but as it relates to the petition, you have to, I don't know if you have thoughts of how you're going to combat that, if you're aware of the parking situation and issue over there.
I wasn't aware of a parking situation, but the way I see it is that any business who's going to try to occupy this space is going to have the same issue. And we're probably the least impact to that parking lot, knowing that we've already done a formal study and that our peak would be 6 cars. I can't imagine that, I mean, anybody, whether it's a gaming cafe or not, is going to have the same challenge that we are.
I'm telling you that 6 spaces would be fine for you, I'm sure, and that you're allotted to those. But the reality is there are cars there all the time. So don't patronize that business. So the overflow is going to affect you, and you're going to have to deal with that somehow, some way. And I don't know how we as a village, if there's a citation, if you had a problem with their patrons parking in your spots, how does that work? If they came into the space and patrons of another business were parking there, how would they address that? Because that's the reality of the situation. If June's ends up there, right?
It's private property.
So as owners, do they have to deal with it themselves? Does it involve the village?
Is it their parking spots for the unit?
No, I believe it's shared. Can you?
Do you guys get what I'm saying about?
You're looking for, can a business designate a spot that says?
These are my 6 spots.
These are for X person parking only.
And we have that existing over by the West End.
We do.
The outlets there.
We do.
We had the same concern by the laundromat at Schoenbeck, where that business, the cafe came in with White Eagle, whatever his name was, and we were concerned that the parking would overflow into the laundromat. So it's any 2 adjacent businesses that have too many cars, and I'm just trying to foresee how you're going to address the fact that people are going to be taking your spots.
Would you like to address that?
I haven't seen any documentation that shows that this property has shared parking with the adjacent properties. I mean, maybe I missed something.
I haven't received
Maybe it
anything
hasn't been brought to my attention.
It shouldn't be. They should get their own designated spots, but.
Well, there could be 3.
Like if you looked at it right now, I'm pretty sure that whole parking lot's probably fill up.
Well, because some, like, shopping centers, it's a shared parking lot that it kind of is a first come, first serve.
Okay.
But if it is their own spots and they needed to take steps, they could probably talk to the village about installing signage that says, like, for June's customers only, and then enforce it as much.
And I'm sure you will have to do that. I just don't know what the enforcement is, or if it's the village's problem versus the owners.
It'd be the owners.
Okay, so something you should be aware of. If you're not aware of, come any night at 9 o'clock and look at that parking lot, and you'll know what we're talking about. So I just want to clarify that in my own mind. I think, I was going to ask about the other businesses in your group of business. This would be you have the 3rd and 4th. You're petitioning for the 3rd and 4th locations, and they're all similarly sized and the same, just called different things. Is that May and June?
No, so most of them are Mays. This is the first June's.
And how is it different?
They're different. Design is different. Menu's different. So again, the business owner he has been like a luxury home designer.
Okay.
So this is kind of a business that he's gone off into now. That's not all he's done. He was also part owner of Prairie Brewing that was formerly in Schaumburg, and I think maybe Streamwood. But he was, so he has restaurant experience within bar and restaurant. So this is the first June's. We're looking to be like purveyors of fun. We really like that high-end customer service within any of the businesses that we're related to. So this is the first one. We're trying to give this different concept, just a different layout, different concept, but same level of luxury and customer service.
Okay, and I promise I'm not trying to set you up, but what you just said was this is going to be different and it's going to be high-end and fun. So what is the concept of Maze specifically? So Maze is generally, it's like upscale luxury, same idea. So upscale luxury, high-end, high-level customer service. The difference with June's is the design, the menu. Layout.
Okay. Yeah, a different concept.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and I guess concept might not be the best word, but different design setup.
And I'm not trying to just make an arguing point. I'm just trying to clarify in my mind. And vacant retail space in our village is a tough spot for me as a sounding board for the trustees. retail is taking a hit in our world, and experiential retail is key. So this idea of a gaming cafe, gaming stations at other businesses, and the exploding of gaming consoles in our village makes sense, because retail is being left empty now these days. And what else do we have besides experiential, which is what you are proposing, which is the gaming cafes anywhere? But at what point does it become too many? I don't know. There's no rule there. There's no consensus in all the people of Wheeling. So I'm having a hard time not being okay with it, because like the majority of Wheeling hasn't voted on if they think too many gaming cafes are coming in. So as you presented it, everything is fine. If you get bike racks and the paving and striping and all the stuff that we need to approve, you cross the box, check the boxes for that, just like the previous petitioners. But then it's just a matter of, and I'm just kind of talking out loud. I don't know if I have a question necessarily. I'm just trying to reconcile the thought that there's so many gaming cafes. Besides the parking, besides the parking lot, and the difference in your other businesses, I have no other questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple of things, noting the staff report about landscaping, and to piggyback on Commissioner Rafato, I'm not sure about the status of the parking lot and the bike rack and the smoking. So I assume we need to, how do we work with the bike rack and the smoking? Is this considered like a separate spot that needs to be there? And how do we address like the landscaping and the parking lot? Is that an enforcement thing like we can put on, like we put on the previous petition? How do we work with that?
Can I ask a quick question regarding?
Sure.
Is it written somewhere that like businesses or shopping centers need to have designated smoking areas or bike racks? Just something, if so I may have missed it, I just want to know.
Yes. Our code requires it.
Code requires it for the shopping center?
Smoking is a state law.
Right, well, and we post on our door, no smoking within 15 feet, and we don't allow our staff to take like smoke breaks on the clock or anything like that, but.
Okay, so 15 feet could turn into being closer to the, it's all openings. So either way, you have to be, so it's 15 feet from any establishment.
Right.
So if you go one way, you're going closer to the auto parts store, and you might be within 15 feet of that opening. If you go the other way, you could be 15 feet. So there has to be, in this case, there has to be a smoking area designated for the whole shopping center.
So wouldn't it be the business owners as an individual to enforce that people aren't smoking within 15 feet of their door? Or if it is written or needed that there's a designated smoking area, wouldn't that be imposed on the landlord itself for the whole center?
I think this comes under special use review because of the type of establishment where you have people, in your facility for multiple hours perhaps, and would maybe like to have a smoke. Whereas at Advanced Auto, customers come and go frequently, probably won't stay around to smoke outside.
Okay.
So you can't be within 15 feet of their entrance either. Or going to the west, you can't be 15 feet of that one. So that has to be established, and it has to be part of the special use. And then landscaping, there's a landscape plan. Now that is going to be part of enforcement, not enforcement, but we're making it a condition because it's in terrible shape, and the owner has to approve that. And that has got to be improved.
And that would be for any business, though, not necessarily because we're a cafe or anything. That would be any business trying to come into the vacancy?
Any business that would come in, we would put that on there, yes. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think the landlords are going to be more likely to invest in these things.
Well, they have to.
If they're so they have to, but they're going to be more able to do it better if they are filling their vacant spaces. They're going to have that income. They're not going to be at a default.
Right, true. Mallory or Brooke, or anything to add? Anything to add?
Just to clarify, we're suggesting that this have the similar recommendation that it should be code enforcement of the approved landscape plan, which is shown on the screen. This is the approved plan for Advance Auto.
So, but what teeth does that have?
This would,
What-
you're making a suggestion to staff to go after Advance Auto for negligence of their special use.
And then they say no, and they move in and it stays the same.
It's not that they say no, they have to go through an adjudicate, they get a cited
Right,
and a
sure,
hearing and.
but then,
This is the plan that was approved and that Advance Auto special use is required to have to operate.
right, but, okay.
So it's a good reminder, since we're reviewing this property at this time, now staff can take steps to enforce it.
Then, well, we can have that discussion. We'll have to have another business because it doesn't make, then why is it here? If it's not part of the special use, then why is it even there? The landscaping. We are not making it a condition for occupancy for this establishment, June's Wheeling, and it's a code enforcement.
Because it's technically already required for Advance Auto. So they should be held to that standard to continue to operate.
So, and it's back to then why can't we enforce it for June's Wheeling to have that done before they get occupancy?
I guess
Sure, that can be your part of, it can be listed as a condition of approval?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. I would assume everybody is in agreement with that?
Yep.
Yes, okay, thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No problem. So the last question I have is, event space for small group gatherings. Can you explain that to me? And I also see a mention of flexible floor plan. And then tied to that is the cooking and kitchen facilities. I mean, are we catering in? Are we cooking it all there? What is meant by a flexible floor plan compared to what we have in our packet and a space for small group gatherings? What is trying to be, how is that space trying to be utilized for like small group gatherings?
So we're thinking small, meaning like maybe, if there's a birthday, we've had like a 30th anniversary that went off in Lake Zurich. Someone had asked if they could come in. So we just had an extra staff member on site. We offered them some complimentary trays of food, food that we prepared in-house, some of our items off of our menu. So we, like small groups, maybe 10 to 15 people stop there before they go out for whatever their event is that evening. We don't cater anything in at any time. And then the flexible floor plan, just meaning that, we can add seating if we need to. We can remove seating if we don't. If the board at some point recommends that we don't have, the lounge space that we have with the couch, that can be adjusted, things like that. So it's not formally set that it has to be what you're seeing on paper.
Oh, that's kind of a tough one for me. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's a little bit difficult. Likewise, what about the cooking and kitchen facilities? How is that sized out? I mean, what kind of equipment and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we have basically the exact same type of oven that you'd have at Starbucks. So any of the food preparation that's done at Starbucks, same convection pressure, microwave, doesn't require a hood or anything to keep that out. We also have some items that don't require cooking. They either require thawing or we actually keep up on like a fresh fruit thing. So we actually have found that people really like fresh berries in the morning. So we do multiple like fruit pickups during the week, and we offer that to people too. So that's not necessarily anything that has to be prepared. It's not even something on our menu. It's just something that we offer complimentary, but that doesn't require cooking.
Okay, so I guess my concern is normally we work off a floor plan with seating, but then I'm hearing that could be adding extra chairs and stuff like that, so I don't know, how do we control that, or how does that work in this case, or is that even allowed? I'm not sure, so that's just a question I have.
So this was a similar concept that maybe you were out when Mays came in.
Yeah, I was out.
So as the petitioner just described, they may bring in more chairs under certain events. We, staff, checked to verify that there is enough parking for up to the proposed 20 people that they might have in an event. So that's covered. It would also have to be reviewed by the fire department for occupancy, but that would be reviewed at building permit.
So we're establishing that the maximum they can have is 20.
Yes, I would add that as a condition of approval.
Right, so they can move this around,
Okay,
but the maximum they can have is 20.
okay, that's all.
Even at a special event.
Okay.
Well, and flexible honestly really just means if it's recommended that we should have more or less, it can be done. Flexible meaning it would be set then going forward. If we have an event, we actually probably would be reducing seating more for like socializing space more than adding seating. I don't think adding seating would ever be a concern of ours that we would be trying to do.
Okay, as long as we put that in as a condition, I'm so far so good. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorban.
Thank you. I have the same question of you. What makes you think you will be successful when there's so many other gaming establishments around you?
Again, we're trying to do it very differently than a lot of others are. We've been into other establishments similar gaming lounges, things like that, and it's, you know, it's cheap furniture, somebody who's sitting in a corner on their phone, a soda machine, and you know, you go back to a machine with a folding table next to it. We're really trying to step it up and make it that VIP Vegas, like you go to the Bellagio, you're in a VIP room that's got its own space, you know, and you're treated that way as well. We're bringing, you know, fresh fruit water to you. We're bringing things to you rather than you getting up and coming to us and initiating that interaction. So everything from our hospitality to the design of our space is really meant to be that top notch. There really isn't anybody else doing that. And, you know, I know there were the concerns about this being gaming row or something on those lines. I mean, I think the business itself is going to be self-eliminating. I mean, at some point, yeah, you're going to have a lot, but there's going to be the situation where, you know, lounges, whether you want it to be good or bad, lounges being a subset of essentially a casino, it's still a form of entertainment. It's like going bowling, you know, it's like going shopping. Anything that you spend money on, whether it's for an experience or for goods, it's a form of entertainment. And if it gets to the point that they're saturated, they'll be self-eliminating.
Have you looked at any other areas within our village other than this one?
Have we looked at other areas for June's? No.
Because there are other obviously open stores. I just wondered why you didn't look
I mean,
anywhere.
personally, I haven't. The business owner may have. I usually end up being a little bit more on board once we have already worked with a landlord and maybe worked to the point of an LOI and have the landlord's approval to move forward with for the use. But as far as I know, there wasn't anything else in Wheeling that we had discussed for the business.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a little confused at how you came up with that build-out where you took the existing space and broke it into thirds, it looks like?
No, I think it's in half.
Okay, so the lower half is actually part of Advance Auto?
I believe so. Honestly, with this one, I'm not certain, but I believe so. I think we're only dividing what's there in half.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, because...
Well, that looks
Otherwise
like
it would be
that looks like a third.
Yeah, it looks like you went down the
That
middle.
looks like a third.
Sorry, I can't answer that
Brooke,
question.
can you add anything on that?
Let me open the staff report. One moment,
Okay.
please.
I didn't...
So there's a remaining vacant unit that is 2,655 square feet.
Okay, so the lower part of this drawing would be Advance Auto.
Yes.
And this unit is 1,725 square feet.
Okay.
So are they
Alright.
taking like a portion of the Title Max space?
Yes,
But
they're
not the whole thing, right?
Splitting
Right.
it down the middle.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. So my next question is, there's no exit, it's not a question, it's a statement. There's no exit in the back at all.
I think that hallway goes out to an exiting door. There is an exiting door on the building.
But that would be part of Advanced Auto.
It's not. I think there's actually like that back is an annex or a hallway, because there is, when you're looking from the outside of the building, you can see there's a door with our address for that exit.
Mr. Antor.
Commissioner Johnson, that corridor that's shown is a common corridor that runs originally behind Title Max as well as behind the auto store. So that rear exit does exit into a common exiting corridor.
Okay. And, well, there was a comment about the door swing being...
Yeah, the door swing exceeds the width that it can go into the corridor. So the obvious solution would be is they got to shorten that back room a couple of feet, but again, that's a building permit issue.
Okay, thank you. So then down the road, we'd probably be looking at something else moving into that other very narrow spot. Now, you're affiliated with the maze that recently was approved at 280 East Dundee?
Yes.
That's all I have, thanks.
So, you may have made the comment about, as more of these come in, that some might suffer and some, we have two coming in here right now, and that's part of retail. My concern, and Commissioner Johnson alluded to it, in this particular one, is that we're taking a full, however many square feet, and subdividing it, and just making this more impossible to lease that out. I know that's not your concern, but it is my concern. I just don't like this idea of splitting this even further. It's not a big space as it is, and we're going to be cutting it down even more, and that will never be leased. It just won't. I don't know what could go in there except for possibly another gaming cafe. It's just, that's my concern with this particular petition. It doesn't make sense to me.
What was the square footage again? You said of each of the?
1725.
Of the petitioner or the empty one?
Yes, 1725.
And then the other one is 20-something?
2655.
Almost twice as big, but
Yeah.
doesn't look like it in the drawing.
No, it doesn't.
No, yeah, it doesn't properly convey it in the drawing, but then again, yeah, granted, you're probably right, Commissioner Kalis, it looks like it's half and half, but still, something like that is just going to...
No, that discrepancy may be due to this corridor, because I calculated that based on the size of Advanced Auto and what I thought the size of Title Max was, but I was not aware of this. So that may be why it seems like not 50% of this Title Max area.
Okay, and you don't have measurements of the frontage, like the width of the front of each of them? It's not the same width? It's clearly, the other one's bigger? They're different sizes, basically. Is that for sure?
I don't know.
Okay.
Brooke, how many parking spots does that building have? The Advanced Auto and...
All three parts.
The old Title Max. That's a separate building, correct? With their parking lot in the front and on the side?
Advanced Auto shares parking with this unit and the vacant unit.
Yes. So how many parking spots for that whole building?
Did I say 30?
I believe it's 30
But it explained.
on the entire property.
And how many does Advanced Auto have to have?
I'm sorry, what?
Breaking it down, they need 8 parking spots?
6, she said.
6?
Right?
I believe that's what our
So
parking
there's
space-
24 left?
There's a parking variation on this property. So when the property was developed with Advanced Auto and Title Max, there was a parking variation granted that runs with the land.
Right.
So there's a discrepancy between the actual code requirement and what is out there. But the proposed use is within the parking requirement, including the parking variation.
So the reason why they got that variation before is because it was an older building and there isn't any more room there unless you start tearing other buildings down. So I understand Chairman Rafato's concern about no parking left for the other space, but then there's not enough parking for all 3 of the businesses that are in that space.
Well, actually, my concern, I think you may have misunderstood my concern. My concern is trying to, I would much prefer to have something that occupies the whole space instead of just this sliver of a space. And it just, to me, that doesn't make sense. That's where I'm going. I think parking, Commissioner
Title
Creech
Max
will
just
take care
used-
of. Yeah,
used
it
the
will-
front of it.
Right, yeah, it
Remember?
will take care, yeah. It will take
That whole
care-
back was vacant.
Right, it will
So-
take, yeah.
So that's kind of odd that they make a sliver like this. Why wouldn't they just get the whole front like it was before?
Well, it makes sense for the petitioner's use, but
Right.
it doesn't make sense
Right,
for the
exactly.
village necessarily.
So
So as the landlord's being,
that is my concern that I have with this. Are there any other
that's the landlord's
questions?
problem.
Pardon?
Wouldn't that be the landlord's problem as far as,
Yeah.
since
but
the way
it
he
is,
split it
but
up now? Because he split it up the other way before,
Right.
and it was perfectly
But
fine.
the Title Max took up the whole segment,
They paid for
that
the
whole
whole
piece.
spot,
But
whether or not
They only
use
used
it.
the front of it.
Doesn't matter
Well,
what they
it doesn't
use.
matter, but they had the whole thing. Right,
It's like facing the groceries in the store, right?
Right.
It looked better.
yep, exactly. Are there any other questions or comments? Brooke, would you like to go over the recommendations, the conditions?
The conditions of approval are, 1, a rack for 2 bicycles shall be added to the site prior to occupancy. 2, prior to occupancy, the business shall obtain a Class NV liquor license, and the use shall be consistent with the Class NV liquor license with respect to food and beverage sales. 3, the lot shall be restriped prior to occupancy. 4, a maximum of 20 seats shall be permitted. 5, prior to occupancy, landscaping shall be installed per the approved landscape plan for Advanced Auto Parts, which is ordinance number 4675. And lastly, an outdoor smoking area shall be designated prior to occupancy.
Any other questions or comments? So do I hear a motion on docket number 2018 dash, just one clarification. On your maze, you said you only had 2, but you actually have 2.5 because you're getting one in Wheeling, right? You have
Yeah.
one in Lake Zurich, one in Hillcrest or
Hickory Hills.
Hickory Hills. I had an H, and then the one in Wheeling. So you actually have 3, right?
Yeah, we have others in other villages, but they're not to the point of fully licensed
Right.
and approved or anything
So,
like that.
right, just, okay, cool. do we have a motion on docket number 2018-15 with the conditions just stated?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. A motion by Commissioner Creech, second by Commissioner Kalis. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis.
No.
Commissioner Dorban.
No,
Commissioner Johnson.
No.
And Commissioner Powers votes no, and Chairman Rafato?
No. Thank you. So this is a recommending board. This will go to the village with our vote, and they will then have the final vote on this. So we just recommend. Okay?
And then I'll get a memo.
Yeah, you'll
Or
get
follow-up
something
from Brooke.
signed here with all of it. We have the conditions.
So this will
and
go to the board on August 6th.
August 6th,
Got it.
along with the other one. Thank you. You'll have something to sign. A motion to close?
So moved. Second.
Third.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dorban, we have a motion by everybody. A second by Commissioner Powers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just want to hear from Brad. Again.
Wake up, Brad. Wake up, Brad.
Would you like some mixed nuts?
Do we want to just continue on? Let's get this.
Use 5.
I wish you would have.
Is there a
Okay.
rule? Huh?
I'm not responsible for any accident.
I don't think there's a rule.
Just sign both of those. And you can keep one?
How are we?
How far along is Maze? Thank you. That one's yours? The clipboard is not a gift. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Pardon? Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
yay.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Wait for your license.
Oh, all right.
Call the meeting back to order. Docket number 2018-16, Mia's Cantina, 373 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval of a sit-down restaurant. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-16, Wheeling Commercial Development LLC. Property owner is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05 Mixed Use Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements, and associated sections order to establish a sit-down restaurant at 373 West Dundee Road, Wheeling, Illinois, which is zoned MXT, transit-oriented, mixed-use district. Mr. Chairman.
Brooke, anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to add that the submittals of the petitioner and the staff reports are part of the public record.
Great, thank you. Mr. Friedman, you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. If you'd state your name and business address? And the floor is
Brad
yours.
Friedman, 1363 Shermer Road, Suite 310, Northbrook, Illinois.
Great, thank you. And the floor is yours.
So we've already been through the approval process with regards to the building, elevation, site plan, whatnot. This is really just the formality. At the time, we didn't have the interior layout, and so we thought it would be best to get the approvals to go ahead and start with the construction, and then come in at a later date for the special use approval. Now that we have the interior floor plan, we are here to get special use approval.
Great, thank you. Can you describe the interior and then also some of the exterior stuff like awnings and things like that?
Sure. Well, the awnings actually were part of the exterior facade that were approved, and actually, I talked to Esteban today about the color of the awning because that was a big topic of conversation. And I noticed that he has a lot of colors in his logo. He's got red, blue, green, and yellow, which pretty much covers the gamut. So we talked about doing a solid, like black or white, and then we kind of settled on gray to let his logo pop. I'm not asking for approval on that because I don't have the specific color or material, but I just wanted to let you know that it is something that I've been discussing with the tenant, and he does prefer to have a solid gray canopy that would allow his logo to pop. I'll have to come back and get approval for that at a separate time.
How would we do that, Brooke?
That would be through a minor site plan and appearance approval.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's, okay, that's fine. Great, okay, continue on, sir.
So you still want me to talk about the facade, or?
Well, sure, just for a recap of, yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry I didn't bring any of the materials here because we kind of already got exterior approval, but I mean, as you can see, yeah, a lot of it is the brick with, you know, the garage doors that open up. I know I've read all the staff reports that that's an issue with the health department. They want to make sure that it's sealed, and there's certain preventative measures to keep the you know, insects out. So obviously that will all be followed with regards to the design of the building and the construction of it. Other than that, I mean, we've got, you know, 2 tenants taking building H2, which is on the plaza. Mia's is going to be taking about 4,500 square feet. We'll have 1,700 square feet left over. And I think that'll be a very coveted space in the town center, next to the plaza. Next to me is right next to City Works and across from the theater, so I'm not too concerned about that. Overall, we're really happy with the aesthetics and the design of the building.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this matter?
They all left.
Yeah.
Hey, someone's here. Got one person.
So we will start with Commissioner Kalis.
Good to see you, Brad.
How are you?
Love your shirt. Representing.
Sorry I didn't bring you any fried pickles.
No?
Or at least I could have brought you some chips and salsa, right?
You could have. Could have, but you didn't. I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Powers.
Welcome back.
How are you?
Looking good, doing good. Only thing is, staff mentioned 2 different floor plans. Which one is the correct one?
We did submit the correct floor plan. I double-checked with my architect, and he provided that to staff.
Okay, so we're good with that, Brooke?
It's this floor plan, it's not the other one that has a color,
Okay.
color.
So do we have something
Rendering.
written in that
It's that one and
that it's
something else.
that one?
Yep.
Yes, I noted in the decision sheet that the colored floor plan is withdrawn.
Okay. All right, cool. All right.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorbin.
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. On the overhead doors, are they envisioning them being like a garage door or shingled up, like?
No, that was, City Works was going to shingle up. I think they envisioned these being more like a garage overhead door.
No, that,
I don't think
that would be
I don't
more
think
of a
they've
problem, I
specified the exact product yet.
Okay.
But I do believe that's what they envision.
So to that point, though, would that have to be a minor site plan?
No, if it looks consistent with this image, it would not have to come back here. How it operates is not,
Well, but
I think part of the problem, and Ron, with the overhead doors that roll up, it's the sprinkler
Oh, well, in this situation, it can go,
It's
you're
high
thinking of a
enough-
traditional
it's high enough to go
garage
straight.
door, right? That goes
Right,
over.
yeah.
But we have enough height
okay.
to go up, and it's not a full, right? You could see that it's
Yeah,
not a
okay.
full garage door. I understand what you're saying, to block the sprinklers. Right.
Yeah, if the,
He's not giving me a certificate of occupancy until I've got the whole thing sprinkled. I know that.
yeah, that's common with a lot of warehouse stores and industrial buildings, in the higher roofed buildings.
Yeah, just go straight
The
up.
overhead doors will go mostly straight up, and then occasionally they might break over 2 or 3 feet, and then it's not an issue. But when the door, what you're referring to,
Yeah.
where it breaks and goes all the way back over, then they just have to put a sprinkler drop under it, and that still wouldn't really be an issue for this. It would just be additional sprinkler work.
Okay.
If that's what they were doing.
All right, that's all I had.
Mr. Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had pretty much the same question about the overhead doors, and if they had picked a manufacturer with this approved air curtain and such, and obviously you don't, so.
Yeah, we have not selected those finals, product specifications yet.
That's the only questions I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, thank you. The outdoor seating, is it going to be
Enclosed?
enclosed?
It will not, no.
Oh, so it's just going to be open?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's cool. Okay. I saw that and I just wanted clarification on that.
You know, each tenant has a different want for their outdoor seating. Some of them are enclosed and some of them are just open, and we're just, working with the tenants.
So the outdoor seating, what is, okay, let me ask you this. What is north, south, east, or west on?
So to kind of give you get your bearings right, you're looking at this picture here. You look to the right, it's the residential building. If you go down, you got obviously the plaza, then the movie theater. If you go to your left, you got City Works. Well, there's the cut through and then City Works.
Okay, so, here on this one.
Does that help?
So it's sort of southeast. Yeah, southeast of that. So the seat, I'm just wondering, from an evening sun. Right on it.
Well, we got that big residential building. That's probably going to.
No, but if it's facing southeast, you're not going to have the evening sun because the sun, I believe, still sets in the west, right? Yeah, so.
Right, so actually, sorry, so.
The movie theater.
Yeah, that'll be the movie theater
Yeah,
that probably
so
blocks
that'll be-
the sun.
Well, no, but we should be, I'm just curious. I mean, outdoor seating is outdoor seating.
I
You're not gonna
personally
be-
like the shade, but my wife loves the sun,
Yeah.
so we always look for a table that's in between. I don't know.
I know, exactly. So, okay, that was all I had. I just had a question about that. So, Brooke, anything, there's no other conditions?
No conditions.
They will need to kind of control the tables though, because these look like little square tables that people are going to be moving around and.
I think this was the design that would say, maximum outdoor seating.
Okay.
I don't know if they're really going to
That is
have
a
all
lot.
these tables out there. I mean, I just went to their one location in Mount Prospect and they had a couple of four tops out there.
Right, yeah.
I think that's more of like an operational item that they'll have to kind of manage and maintain, and if it gets to be a problem, obviously, then we'll have to make some modifications and work with them.
Do we need to add anything about the awning color or?
No, it's approved right now as it's shown on these plans, and if they
Cool.
want to change it,
Excellent.
then they'll come
Okay,
back.
Good idea. Great, thank you.
Brad, will those tables just stay out all year?
I doubt it.
Okay.
No, I don't know
They'll
what he
figure out a
plans to
place
do
to
for
put it.
storage.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's actually I hate to say it, that'll be his problem.
That's fine.
I'm not gonna be offering up any additional storage space. I assume he's not gonna have them year round. I don't know if he's going to rent a storage facility or what he plans to do.
Since there are no conditions, I'll make a motion to approve.
Excuse me,
Motion
Chairman
on
Raffato?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I thought, I thought you were throwing your voice at me.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry.
The tables between the building and the residential building would not be allowed because that is a fire access route, and that was designed as a route between the residential building for ladder access if needed.
Actually, you got to go back to the site plan to see that those tables are not in the fire lane.
Well, the whole thing is a fire lane for the apparatus.
No, that's not correct. The fire lane, if you could, can we zoom in on this?
No. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I think you can.
I don't know if you could see, but this part, right, just to the south of the cinema is landscaped. That's not a fire lane. And this part here that is just south of Mia's is also landscaped, and that's not part of the fire lane. Your fire lane is this strip here. We have no tables on this strip here.
Is that strip 21 feet wide?
It's bigger than 21 feet.
That was the intent from discussing this with the chief, that space was the fire lane.
There's no way I'm letting the fire truck go through that landscaped area there. Do you see that landscaping?
The area that jets
This
out,
area
right?
right
Yeah.
here is landscaped. You would not allow me to landscape that area if it was part of the fire lane. The fire lane is, what, I lost control, is over here where the mount, can you see this?
Yeah.
It's
This
kinda
is where the
difficult,
fire lane
but-
is, not this area. This is landscaped.
Well, if in fact it's 21 feet wide in the center, because again, the drawing doesn't clearly show that.
I can
Then
provide
we-
dimensions, that's not a problem. I mean, the site plan's already been approved. The site plan has a very wide fire truck lane.
So looking at this drawing, if you look to the bottom of the red there, you see that white area, so that's the landscaping area.
Right there, yeah.
And then right in front of that, there's going to be seats.
Yes.
Tables, right there, right where
Right there,
where
yes.
the pointer is at.
Yes.
So the fire lane is then this section right there.
It's really this section here.
Right
So
there.
would it potentially be
Right there.
a good idea to gate off so that the tables don't go into the 21-foot fire
So
section?
that's one of the things I asked.
Maybe just on that
It's going to
side?
be open.
So what if someone moves their chair out into the fire lane and they don't know that it's a fire lane and a truck comes,
That's a good point.
because there's no gate there? So you know it's 21 feet, but my 5-year-old doesn't.
I would make a recommendation that.
Well, wait a second, let's be clear here.
No,
There are going to be pedestrians in the fire lane.
Like
Right.
walking,
That's the
because
whole
it's a plaza.
point
Yeah,
of the
True.
plaza area. I mean, so.
so
But I do respect the fact that you don't want tables in the fire
Fixed-
lane. I don't
fixed,
intend to put
semi-fixed
tables in the fire
objects,
lane. I'm
correct.
just trying to clarify that for you, okay?
So if I understand the petitioner correctly because I was not a part of those original discussions that was between yourself and I believe the chief, the shaded area is what you're referring to as the 21-foot width of the fire lane as you go down there.
Yes.
I mean, it's really, it's between the landscaping. Okay, so there's no landscaping on the fire lane.
Correct, understood.
And so, I mean, it's hard to see because we can't zoom in here, but this white area, these like little half moons, whatever you want to call them, and even right here in front of the residential building, just north of the residential building, these are landscaped patios here. So those are not part of the fire lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I actually think it's 50 feet between. And so we've got that landscape buffer on each side to still give you the 21 feet that you need.
Understood.
So, but I think you have more than 21 feet.
And I also think that would be handled at permitting anyway. So.
Thanks for clarifying.
I would not mess with the fire lane.
So again, we had a motion on 2018-16 by Commissioner Powers. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Johnson.
16.
Mr.
2018,
Secretary.
16.
right?
16, what did I say?
I don't know.
15. I'm sorry, 16, 2018-16.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, docket number 2018, we'll have you sign everything afterwards.
No problem. I can wait till the end.
2018-17, Inland Bank, 337 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval of a bank with drive-through facilities. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-17, Wheeling Commercial Development LLC, property owner seeking special use site plan approval is required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05 Mixed Use Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections in order to establish a bank with drive-through facilities at 337 West Dundee Road, Wheeling, Illinois, which is zoned MXT, Transit-Oriented Mixed Use District. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything to add?
Yes, that the submittals of the petitioner and the staff reports are part of the public record.
Thank you. Mr. Friedman, I have to swear you in again. Do you swear the testimony you give to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And your name and address again?
Brad Friedman, 1363 Shermer Road, Suite 310, Northbrook.
Thank you very much. And the floor is yours, sir.
So very similar with Mia's, we already got elevation approval on Inland Bank and site plan approval, but we didn't have the interior floor plan for the tenant to get the special use permit. Trying to just, keep construction schedules. We did the same thing. We went in for, permitting for the building. Now we have the interior floor plan, and we have submitted for the special use approval.
Great.
We haven't really made any changes to the facade since we last got approval. We haven't made any changes to the site plan since we last got approval.
All right. This is a public hearing.
Yes.
Special meeting. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Commissioner Stylen. I'm Commissioner Stylen. Would you please?
Retired.
Retired.
Thank you.
Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Surely.
And your name and address?
Terry Stalin, 473 Briarwood Drive, Wheeling, Illinois. Just a question. How many drive-through stations are they going to have, and what's the anticipated queue length that the bank will have? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Stations. All right. Thank you. Mr. Friedman, we had questions from the audience about the number of stations and the queue length.
Yes, so it's just one. Actually, the queue lane is actually longer than the Starbucks lane. And so we did have the traffic report submitted. There doesn't seem to be any need for concern for backing up into the parking lot area. Inland Bank doesn't anticipate that type of traffic flow into their drive-through facility. So the parking study that was submitted, I think, illustrates that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brad, where is the trash enclosure that's going to be used? Where is that located for this particular?
They share it with Starbucks.
Okay.
It's the one
Was that the one that was out across the
That's Jeff's favorite
The blockhouse.
part of the town center.
Okay. That's all I had, thanks.
With the stripe line.
Jeff, you're famous.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dorban.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
I have nothing on this one.
Commissioner Creech.
I have nothing, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Commissioner Kalis.
I also have nothing. Thank you.
I don't either, and again, I don't think the stacking based upon what I see and based upon what I see at other banks is going to be an issue. Where something might turn into is, the traffic with Starbucks, but I think that might take care of itself. And so I don't have any issues. And Brad, I want to thank you, Mr. Friedman, I want to thank you for the preparedness that we have that we can go through these things rather quickly, knowing that what we have here is going to be a quality product, and I appreciate that. We appreciate that, especially tonight with the timing of everything. It's,
So they don't have a drive-up ATM at this one?
They do. They do in front of the window. If you can see it in that one.
Oh, okay.
So if you're behind somebody that's doing business,
you have to wait.
Too bad. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of their decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's their decision. So
They might also have one in the entrance.
I'm
the
sure.
entryway, I don't know.
yeah, they probably do. Yeah. Just as an aside, what I find interesting is that you would think drive-through ATMs would be more popular. I bank at one that's got 3 lanes, and only one of them is an ATM, and the other 2 are for banking. And I would think that you would have more ATMs than just, but.
And I think it's the ATM line that is always being used.
Yeah.
And the other 3 are probably just sitting there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that's why they decided they only needed 1 drive-through lane, but, the placement, I think, of the ATM was based on the interior floor plan, maybe with security,
Right.
not really my business, so.
Right, exactly. So do I hear a motion on docket number 2018-17?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Kalis. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Motion.
Third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Closed. Brad, we have 2 things for you to sign.
Okay.
Actually, 4 sheets.
As usual.
Do we all get a polo, Brad? They're nice.
No, that's bribery.
Are limited,
Yeah, it's a one.
but.
Limited edition.
No,
It's a limited edition.
We do have a lot of,
No, we don't. We don't.
No gifts.
No gifts.
No gifts.
No gifts.
Well, okay, if you go to.
Nope, don't want it, Brad. Nope.
Bloody
Sorry.
Mary Festival on Sunday, you can get like a hat or a t-shirt or a bottle opener or a pair of sunglasses.
No longer
And
interested.
then it's okay because it's on the gift it to you. You have to sign up and register for our email address. Did I say too much?
Nice.
Probably more than we needed.
We are doing a lot of marketing events, so we're going out to all these
Cool.
events and
Awesome.
passing out a lot of paraphernalia.
17. Let's see, that is 16.
Wait, one of these I'm supposed to.
Yep, you can keep both of those.
These are the
Keep
ones
that
for
one.
me?
Is 16 and 17? It's up on the top.
I'm sorry, dash 16, dash 17.
Those
Yes,
are yours.
yes.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Independence Mind, thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Right.
Have a good night.
See you, Brad.
We did approval of minutes. I will go through, again, any other business.
You know what, I just want to say that I am sorry I missed the last meeting. However, I did watch it, and I just wanted to commend all of you on.
Hey, guys, we still have another meeting going on. Please. Thanks. Thank you.
I did miss the other meeting, and I apologize for that, but it couldn't be helped. But I do want to commend all of you for an excellent job on how you handled it.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was I would concur with that, Commissioner Dorvan. It was, I thought we all did a good job. And I think we did a good job tonight. If there is, Brooke, before I forget, one of the gentlemen from Wolf Run Estates, he said he sent an email to the Plan Commission. Mr. Glover emailed the following to the Village of Wheeling the evening of Friday, July 20th, with the instructions to forward it to the Plan Commission. I'm not certain that I didn't get this. And who knows, I don't know who, he didn't send it individually, he may have sent it to, is it all right if I give everybody a copy of this? So, copy, 1, 2, 3. This is from Mr. Glover. If you pass that down, and I will give you two a copy. And I have extra copies if anybody wants any, but no, I wanted to ensure that we did get that out. I didn't get a chance to say other business on mine. Two personal things. One, I welcomed my 10th grandchild this week. He was 6 weeks premature, but he's doing well. His name is Marcus Andrew. And then I'm retiring from AT&T. So that's it.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Wow.
So that's it.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So, a motion to close?
So moved.
Second?
Adjourn. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.